Crushed out, look at me now, huh?
I can never go reverse now.
But I'ma spin it back, A-jump. Went from nada to the crowd, throwing their hands, bass jump. I'ma hit the finish line no matter what. They front, first place, you a runner-up, dominant, but the red and the blues going ruthless. 10 out of 10, 11, I don't snooze. I pursue, don't push it, put me in game that I don't lose. I stay cool, depending on my pen and pennants I choose. Ayy, I'ma show you how it doubt it, now the loudest. Wu-Tang, I'm a bird, love the competition. Told you only way is up, I don't go reverse. I can't entertain. Will you do the same? Cause I've been ready my whole life. Only see my back, I ain't turning back on them. Wings on me, I'm higher. Cause I've been ready my whole life. Wings on me, I'm higher.
Who am I gon' verse now? Who am I gon' verse now? Show me what it's worth now.
I pull up in the can't imagine all these people wanna follow, missing in action. Paper planes, I'm a condos, made it from rapping, and I met role models. Thinking I'ma pass all the monogram on my body, the shit shout out to Virgil. Know that I'm gon' beat them like the shit that I put words to. Mama and the internet, two things that I just learned through. Hit it out of the park, so there's nothing to reverse to. I can't entertain. Will you do the same? Cause I've been ready my whole life. Only see my back, I ain't turning back on them. Wings on me, I'm higher. Cause I've been ready my whole life. Wings on me, I'm higher. No, I can go reverse now.
Who am I gon' verse now? Burn bright, I don't burn out. Crushed out, look at me now, huh?
I can never go reverse now.
But I'ma spin it back, A-jump. Went from nada to the crowd, throwing their hands, bass jump. I'ma hit the finish line no matter what. They front, first place, you a runner-up, dominant, but the red and the blues going ruthless. 10 out of 10, 11, I don't snooze. I pursue, don't push it, put me in game that I don't lose. I stay cool, depending on my pen and pennants I choose. Ayy, I'ma show you how it doubt it, now the loudest. Wu-Tang, I'm a bird, love the competition. Told you only way is up, I don't go reverse. I can't entertain. Will you do the same? Cause I've been ready my whole life. Only see my back, I ain't turning back on them. Wings on me, I'm higher. Cause I've been ready my whole life. Wings on me, I'm higher.
Who am I gon' verse now?
สวัสดีครับนี่วันนี้เราอยู่กับทีมบุรีรัมย์ยูไนเต็ด Esports นะครับต้องบอกก่อนว่าปีนี้นะครับเป็นอีกสุดยอดอีกขั้นหนึ่งของวงการ Esports ของ Free Fire เลยเพราะว่าปกติแล้วเนี่ยที่เราได้แชมป์ใช่ไหมก็จะมีเสื้อนักแข่งเข้าไปอยู่ในเกมแต่ว่าทีม BRU เป็นทีมแรกนะครับที่ปีนี้ได้ทำเสื้อพิเศษซึ่งเป็นการร่วมกันออกแบบระหว่างทีมดีไซเนอร์ของ Free Fire แล้วก็ทีม BRU ด้วยนอกจากเสื้อเนี่ยก็ยังมีของอื่นๆอีกนะไม่ว่าจะเป็นปืนเป็นไอซ์วอลนะเป็นผ้าคลุมนะก็ไปดูกันได้ว่าจะเป็นยังไงเดี๋ยววันนี้ก็จะมาคุยกันว่าBRU อยากได้อันไหนแล้วก็ Free Fire เราสามารถทำอะไรให้ BRU ได้บ้างนะครับเริ่มกันเลยดีกว่าแนะนำตัวก่อนสวัสดีครับเจมส์มาโตะนะครับวันนี้ก็จะเป็นผู้ดำเนินรายการของวันนี้นั่นเอง
สวัสดีครับเจมส์ปิดนะครับเป็นคนออกแบบของในเกมครับ
พี่หมิงนี่สุดยอดมากๆนะครับใครที่ไม่รู้จักนะชุดดังๆอย่างแบ็กก็อตนะครับชุดไวท์ก็อตนะชุดนักแข่งหลายๆแบบเนี่ยพี่หมิงเป็นคนออกแบบหมดเลยนี่ก็เลยได้โอกาสในการมาออกแบบชุดนักแข่งใหม่ให้กับ BRU
ก็ฝากน้องๆติดตามผลงานด้วยครับ
สวัสดีครับผมBRUเด็กหลงครับ
ผมเกตไฮเอ็กแอลครับ
ผมโจนาครับ
โมชิครับโมชิ
ผมวาสนาครับ
เริ่มแรกเลยดีกว่าสีก่อน
นึกถึงบุรีรัมย์ก็ต้องสีฟ้าครับ
สีน้ำเงิน
สีน้ำเงินสีขาวสีดำก็จะเป็นเน้น3สีนี้ได้นะครับพี่หมิงคิดแบบเอฟเฟกต์บ้าง BRU พี่มั่นใจเอฟเฟกต์น้ำ
สายฟ้า
อ๋อสายฟ้าแนวชุดกันบ้างดีกว่าแนวชุดอยากได้ชุดประมาณไหน
ล้ำสมัยครับ
ตัวร้ายครับตัวร้าย
ไล่เวียนมนต์ครับ
โหมดอีสปอร์ตใส่อีสปอร์ต
เป็นชุดแนว e-sport นิดนึงได้เลยเดี๋ยวจดไว้นะครับงั้นเดี๋ยวทีมงานขอตัวไปออกแบบชุดสักครู่หนึ่งนะเดี๋ยวกลับมาดูว่าจะเป็นแบบไหนมาครับตอนนี้ชุดก็เสร็จแล้วนะพี่ทำให้3แนวด้วยกันนะครับชุดเนี้ยมันจะมีการอิงกับความเป็น BRU ด้วยชุดแรกเนี่ยจะเป็นชุดสไตล์แบบเรียกว่าคอนดักเตอร์ที่อยู่ในวงออร์เคสตรามองว่า BRU เนี่ยเหมือนกับเป็นคนที่คอยคุมจังหวะเกมทำให้แบบได้แชมป์มาชุดที่2กีโจบอกว่าอยากได้แนวแบบจอมเวทนิดนึงนะตัวนี้ก็จะเน้นเป็นจอมเวทนะครับแต่ว่าเป็นจอมเวทที่มีความสมัยใหม่หน่อยนะครับส่วนชุดที่3อันนี้เอาใจโมชิเลยตัวร้ายก็จะเป็นแบบแนวแบบเทพสายฟ้าตัวร้ายนิดนึงนะเดี๋ยวให้ดูเลยดีกว่า3ตัวปั๊บนี่ขึ้นมาอันนี้คือตกใจจริงหรือแกล้งตกใจจริงก็มี3แนวให้ดูนะครับอันแรกก็จะเป็นอย่างที่บอกว่าเป็นแนวแบบคอนดักเตอร์ตัวที่2เป็นจอมเวทแล้วก็ตัวที่3เนี่ยเป็นแนวแบบนินจาตัวร้ายหน่อยๆวิเคราะห์วิจารณ์ได้
สำหรับผมก่อนเลยก็น่าจะชอบตัว A ครับตัวแรกแต่แบบอยากได้หัวของตัว B ไปใส่
อยากได้หัวสีขาว
ใช่
ผมขาวไปใส่
แน่นอนครับผมก็ต้องชอบตัวที่3ครับเพราะผมตัวร้ายๆหน่อย
ใช่
ใช่แต่ว่าผมไม่ได้รองเท้าเป็นแบบว่ารองเท้าไอตัวกลางครับ
รองเท้าตัวกลาง
ใช่
ผมชอบตัวที่2ครับแต่ว่าชอบชุดตัวที่3ครับ
ตรงไหนของตัว2ที่โจชอบทรงผม
ทรงผมครับใช่แล้วก็ชอบหน้ากากตัว3แล้วก็เสื้อ
แต่ว่าชอบหน้ากากกับเสื้อตัว3
ใช่ครับ
จริงๆผมชอบทุกแบบนะเพราะว่ามันมีความหมายทุกแบบ
นี่เหล่าพระเอกว่ะ
ใช่แต่จริงๆผมชอบอันขวาสุดตัวร้ายครับแล้วตัวร้ายแบบว่าเห็นดีไซน์ชุดครั้งแรกแล้วแบบโอ้มันเหมือนนินจาตัวรู้อะพี่
What
คือเหมือนแบบซิกแซกได้
ตัวนี้ก็ไม่ใช่
ผมคิดว่าผมใส่ผมน่าจะเล่นพิวผมอยากได้แบบว่าเอามาแมทกับหัวนี้หัวตรงกลางหัวตรงบีครับเอามาแมทกับชุดที่3ครับ
ได้ใช่ครับลองปรับดูพี่เป้บ้าง
ผมชอบตัว1กับตัว3ครับถ้าผสมกันนี่คือแบบว่าหล่อเลย
โอเคทีนี้เดี๋ยวจะให้ดูเป็นส่วนๆบ้างนะเมื่อกี้เห็นบอกว่าชอบทรงผมตัว2กันเยอะแต่ความจริงก็มีหัวขาวสไตล์อื่นด้วยนะครับเดี๋ยวมาดูกันปั๊บนี่ชอบอันไหนกันบ้าง
ผมซ้ายล่างเลยครับโอ้โหต้องเป็นมงกุฎโคตรเท่เลย
ผมชอบไอ้หมวกอันที่6อะครับ
อันที่6
ดูเหมือน
ตัวร้าย
ใช่
ผมชอบหัวดำแต่มีมงกุฎครับตรงข้างล่างข้างบนหมวก
ขวาบนพี่ขวาบนสวยใช่เหมือนกันปะขวาบน
เหมือนกันครับตัว3เลยครับหล่อ
ข้างบนใช่ไหมพี่
ใช่
สีดำเฟี้ยวกว่า
ใช่ครับ
โอเคได้พันหน้ากากบ้าง
ผมชอบแบบที่เป็นแมสครับ
ทำไมช่วงนี้
ขวาบนใช่กลัวแบบคน
กลัวฝุ่น
ใช่เป็นห่วงคนที่เล่นฟรีไฟครับกลัวติดแบบติดโรคติดอะไรอย่างงี้
ผมชอบสีขาวครับแต่ว่าอยากให้มีเอฟเฟกต์ตรงตาอะไรอย่างเงี้ย
ก็คือเอฟเฟกต์เป็นสายฟ้าทั้งตาเลย
ผมชอบอันที่2ครับ
อันที่2
ใช่ดูแบบว่ามีเอฟเฟกต์เยอะดีแล้วก็มีแบบมีลาย
ถ้าชอบจริงๆก็ชอบอันที่5ครับ
อันที่5
แล้วก็แบบใช่เอาตาของอันที่1มาใส่ชอบอันที่5เหมือนกันครับเหมือนป้อนเลยครับ
ต่อมาเป็นเสื้ออันนี้เสื้อเป็นแบบอื่นแต่ว่าเผื่อแบบอยากลองดูแบบอื่นหรือว่าชอบ3อันแรกมากกว่า
ชอบ3อันแรกมากกว่า2แบบที่พี่ทำมาทั้งตัวแล้ว
โอเคได้งั้นเดี๋ยวเก็บฟีดแบ็กของ BRU วันนี้แล้วเดี๋ยวไปทำชุดมาให้ดูว่าสุดท้ายเนี่ยชุดจะเป็นแบบไหนนะครับแล้วรอติดตามกันได้เลย กลับมาแล้วนะครับก็หลังจากที่เก็บฟีดแบ็กมาแล้วก็พี่หมิงก็ไปวาดเรียบร้อยนะตอนนี้ก็ออกมา6ชุดนี่ทางนู้น
ด้านขวาสวยจังเลย
เฮ้ยเป็นไงบ้าง
ในบรรดา6ตัว6ชุดนี่ที่มีผมว่าผมชอบตัวขวามากกว่ามันดูแบบว่ามีแบบไม่อึดอัดใส่แล้วสบายตัวขาสั้นด้วยขาแตกอีกเกือบเนี่ยครับแล้วต้องหมวกด้วยพี่เป็นสัญลักษณ์เลยตรงหมวกแล้วพี่มีแบบไฟด้วยมันโคตรเท่อะ
อันนี้ชอบชิ้นไหนที่สุดในชุด
ชอบขาแตกกับเกง
โจชอบชุดไหนที่สุดครับ
ผมชอบขวาสุดครับชอบเสื้อครับชอบเสื้อเต็ม10ผมให้7เลยเนี่ย
หายไปอีก3
7ว่าดัด7ว่าดัด
จากวันเด็ดพี่เป้บ้างดีกว่าโค้ช
ชอบตัวขวาเหมือนกันครับ
ใช่เหรอเริ่มกันหมดเลยเหรอรู้ได้เตรียมใช่ไหม
กูชอบเหมือนกันนะ
บอล
ผมชอบทั้งหมดเลยเพราะว่ามันแบบมันเป็นสัญลักษณ์ของแบบบุรีรัมย์อะไรเงี้ยมันเท่แล้ว
งั้นมีชิ้นไหนที่ชอบเป็นพิเศษไหม
เป็นส่วนของกางเกงของอันที่6ครับมันดูโดดเด่นอันเดียวเลย
เป็นขาสั้นแบบสบาย
ใช่ครับ
มีเขียนด้วย
ว่า
BIU
ใช่
คนสุดท้ายชอบอันไหนครับ
มันเพื่อนๆนะชอบอันที่6
ชอบส่วนไหนที่สุด
ชอบทุกส่วนครับชอบทุกส่วน
คือเอาไปทั้งเซตเลย
ใช่ครับ
โอเค
ลงตัวแล้ว
ไงก็ฝากหน่อยว่าแบบชุดนี้มันเป็นชุดแรกที่เราทำแบบโคบอีสปอร์ตเลยไม่เคยทำมาก่อนครับบุรีรัมย์เป็นทีมแรกที่ได้แชมป์โลกแล้วทำให้ขายของ
ฝากซื้อกันเยอะๆนะครับก็ถ้าซื้อกันเยอะๆปีหน้าก็จะมีอีกนะครับก็ฝากด้วยครับ
ฝากด้วยครับผมว่าขอบคุณคนออกแบบครับผม
ครับ
This might be their first ever international tournament, but day 2 is for sure their stage to shine and explode.
ก็ทัวร์นาเมนต์อันนี้ก็ชนะเล็กๆน้อยๆครับเป้าหมายใหญ่กว่านี้ครับไม่ใช่แค่นี้ครับก็สัปดาห์นี้ครับวอร์มสนามครับสัปดาห์หน้าเดี๋ยวเจอกันครับ
None of these regions wants to go down too soon. For the name of the flag, hustling in the battle of regions.
Dalam week 1 saya rasa saya nak kalahkan tim Onyx sebab dia ada player yang baru dan saya cuba untuk bantai dia. After week 1, everyone will realize that team Vamos is back.
Bữa là nhắn nhủ tới Esports là không có rác da thì mong họ phải chuẩn bị thật kỹ để đối đầu với FFWS. Khi đối đầu với FFWS thì mấy bạn lên cẩn thận bởi vì bọn mình là những đứa trẻ tinh nghịch.
Buat region lain ya jangan pernah anggap remeh Indonesia. Kita bakal kasih tahu kalau Indonesia juga kuat. Kalau buat target sih saat ini kita belum ada ya. Kita masih fokus sama tim kita sendiri. Kita masih bisa dibilang baru lah. Ada player baru kan masih banyak kurangnya. Jadi kita berbenah buat tim sendiri dulu. Kalau buat tim lain nanti aja.
ผมว่าเป็นผลลัพธ์ที่ดีนะครับเพราะทีมไทยแข็งแกร่งกว่าทีมอื่นอยู่แล้วมีความกังวลครับแต่สู้ได้ครับยังพอไหวอยู่ครับพวกเราจะโฟกัสการเล่นของพวกเราครับให้เยอะขึ้นกว่าเดิมครับ
The thrive is real. Some territory has been claimed, but yet the battles of regions continue. Which regions will climb up to the highest rank?
Họ nói chúng tôi chỉ chiến thắng nhờ một kỳ tích. Chúng tôi đã nghe đủ một lời hoài nghi. Giờ là lúc chứng minh đó chưa bao giờ là may mắn mà là thực lực của chúng tôi.
Kami berjuang untuk mengukir nama di pentas dunia. Kini kami di sini untuk membuktikan bahawa kami setara dengan yang terbaik.
เขาบอกว่ายุคของเรามันจบลงแล้วแต่ตำนานไม่ได้วัดกันที่อดีตมันวัดกันที่ก้าวต่อไปต่างหาก
Menjadi juara dunia memang pernah membawa kami ke puncak, tapi kegagalan selalu membayangi. Kini kami siap berjuang kembali.
Different stories, different regions, one ambition. Because greatness belongs to those who push beyond all limits.
สวัสดีครับนี่วันนี้เราอยู่กับทีมบุรีรัมย์ยูไนเต็ด Esports นะครับต้องบอกก่อนว่าปีนี้นะครับเป็นอีกสุดยอดอีกขั้นหนึ่งของวงการ Esports ของ Free Fire เลยเพราะว่าปกติแล้วเนี่ยที่เราได้แชมป์ใช่ไหมก็จะมีเสื้อนักแข่งเข้าไปอยู่ในเกมแต่ว่าทีม BRU เป็นทีมแรกนะครับที่ปีนี้ได้ทำเสื้อพิเศษซึ่งเป็นการร่วมกันออกแบบระหว่างทีมดีไซเนอร์ของ Free Fire แล้วก็ทีม BRU ด้วยแล้วจากเสื้อเนี่ยก็ยังมีของอื่นอีกนะไม่ว่าจะเป็นปืนเป็นไอซ์วอลนะเป็นผ้าคลุมนะก็ไปดูกันได้ว่าจะเป็นยังไงเดี๋ยววันนี้ก็จะมาคุยกันว่าBRU อยากได้อันไหนแล้วก็ Free Fire เราสามารถทำอะไรให้ BRU ได้บ้างนะครับเริ่มกันเลยดีกว่าแนะนำตัวก่อนสวัสดีครับเจมส์มาโตะนะครับวันนี้ก็จะเป็นผู้ดำเนินรายการของวันนี้นั่นเอง
สวัสดีครับเจมส์มิกนะครับเป็นคนออกแบบของในเกมครับ
พี่หมิงนี่สุดยอดมากๆนะครับใครที่ไม่รู้จักนะชุดดังๆอย่างแบ็กก็อตนะครับชุดไวท์ก็อตนะชุดนักแข่งหลายๆแบบเนี่ยพี่หมิงเป็นคนออกแบบหมดเลยนี่ก็เลยได้โอกาสในการมาออกแบบชุดนักแข่งใหม่ให้กับ BRU
ก็ฝากน้องๆติดตามผลงานด้วยครับ
สวัสดีครับผม BRU เด็กหลงครับ
ผมเกตไฮ XL ครับ
ผมโจนาครับ
โมชิครับโมชิ
ผมวาสนาครับ
เริ่มแรกเลยดีกว่าสีก่อน
ในสิ่งบุรีรัมย์ก็ต้องสีฟ้าครับ
สีน้ำเงิน
สีน้ำเงินสีขาวสีดำก็จะเป็นเน้น3 สีนี้ได้นะครับพี่หมิงคิดแบบเอฟเฟกต์บ้าง BRU พี่มั่นใจเอฟเฟกต์น้
ำสายฟ้า
สายฟ้าแนวชุดกันบ้างดีกว่าแนวชุดอยากได้ชุดประมาณไหน
ล้ำสมัยครับ
ตัวลายครับตัวลาย
ลายเวียนหมุนครับ
โหมด Esports ใส่
เป็นชุดแนว Esports นิดนึงได้เลยเดี๋ยวจดไว้นะครับงั้นเดี๋ยวทีมงานขอตัวไปออกแบบชุดสักครู่หนึ่งนะเดี๋ยวกลับมาดูว่าจะเป็นแบบไหนมาครับตอนนี้ชุดก็เสร็จแล้วนะพี่ทำให้3แนวด้วยกันนะครับชุดเนี้ยมันจะมีการอิงกับความเป็น BRU ด้วยชุดแรกเนี่ยจะเป็นชุดสไตล์แบบเขาเรียกว่าคอนดักเตอร์ที่อยู่ในวงออร์เคสตรามองว่า BRU เนี่ยเหมือนกับเป็นคนที่คอยคุมจังหวะเกมทำให้แบบได้แชมป์มาชุดที่2กีโจบอกว่าอยากได้แนวแบบจอมเวทนิดนึงนะตัวนี้ก็จะเน้นเป็นจอมเวทนะครับแต่ว่าเป็นจอมเวทที่มีความสมัยใหม่หน่อยนะครับส่วนชุดที่3อันนี้เอาใจโมชิเลยตัวร้ายก็จะเป็นแบบแนวแบบเทพสายฟ้าตัวร้ายนิดนึงนะเดี๋ยวให้ดูเลยดีกว่า3ตัวปั๊บนี่ขึ้นมาอันนี้คือตกใจจริงหรือแกล้งตกใจจริงก็มี3แนวให้ดูนะครับอันแรกก็จะเป็นอย่างที่บอกว่าเป็นแนวแบบคอนดักเตอร์ตัวที่2ก็เป็นจอมเวทแล้วก็ตัวที่3เนี่ยเป็นแนวแบบนินจาตัวร้ายหน่อยๆวิเคราะห์วิจารณ์ได้
สำหรับผมก่อนเลยก็น่าจะชอบตัว A ครับตัวแรกแต่แบบอยากได้หัวของตัว B ไปใส่
อยากได้หัวสีขาวผมขาวไปใส่
แน่นอนครับผมก็ต้องชอบตัวที่3ครับเพราะผมตัวร้ายหน่อยใช่แต่ว่าผมไม่ได้รองเท้าเป็นแบบว่ารองเท้าไอตัวกลางครับ
รองเท้าตัวกลาง
ใช่
ผมชอบตัวที่2ครับแต่ว่าชอบชุดตัวที่3ครับ
ตรงไหนของตัว2ที่โจชอบทรงผม
ทรงผมครับใช่แล้วก็ชอบหน้ากากตัว3แล้วก็เสื้อ
แต่ว่าชอบหน้ากากกับเสื้อตัว3
ใช่ครับ
จริงๆผมชอบทุกแบบนะเพราะว่ามันมีความหมายทุกแบบ
นี่เหล่าพระเอกว่ะ
ใช่แต่จริงๆผมชอบอันขวาสุดตัวลายครับแล้วตัวลายแบบว่าเห็นดีไซน์ชุดครั้งแรกแล้วแบบโอ้โหมันเหมือนนินจาตัวรู้อะพี่
What
คือเหมือนแบบซิกแซกได้
ตัวนี้ก็ไม่ใช่
ผมคิดว่าผมใส่ผมน่าจะเล่นพิวผมอยากได้แบบว่าเอามาแมทกับหัวนี้หัวตรงกลางหัวตรงบีครับเอามาแมทกับชุดที่3ครับ
ได้ใช่ครับลองปรับดูพี่เป้บ้าง
ผมชอบตัว1กับตัว3ครับถ้าผสมกันนี่คือแบบว่าหล่อเลย
โอเคทีนี้เดี๋ยวจะให้ดูเป็นส่วนๆบ้างนะเมื่อกี้เห็นบอกว่าชอบทรงผมตัว2กันเยอะแต่ความจริงก็มีหัวขาวสไตล์อื่นด้วยนะครับเดี๋ยวไปดูกันปั๊บนี่ชอบอันไหนกันบ้าง
ผมซ้ายล่างเลยครับโอ้โหต้องเป็นมงกุฎโคตรเท่เว้ย
ผมชอบไอ้หมวกอันที่6อะครับ
อันที่6
ดูเหมือน
ตัวร้าย
ใช่
ผมชอบหัวดำแต่มีมงกุฎครับตรงข้างล่างข้างบนหมวก
ขวาบนพี่ขวาบนสวยใช่เหมือนกันป่ะขวาบน
เหมือนกันครับตัว3เลยครับหล่อ
ข้างบนใช่ไหมพี่
ใช่
สีดำเฟี้ยวกว่า
ใช่ครับ
โอเคได้พันหน้ากากบ้าง
ผมชอบแบบที่เป็นแมสครับ
ทำไมช่วงนี้
ขอบนใช่
กลัว
ช่วงนี้กลัวแบบคน
กลัวฝุ่น
ใช่เป็นห่วงคนที่เล่นฟรีไฟครับกลัวติดแบบติดโรคติดอะไรอย่างงี้
ผมชอบไอ้สีขาวครับแต่ว่าอยากให้มีเอฟเฟกต์ตรงตาอะไรอย่างเงี้ย
ก็คือเอฟเฟกต์เป็นสายฟ้าทั้ง
ใช่
ตาเลย
ใช่
ผมชอบอันที่2ครับ
อันที่สอง
ใช่ดูแบบว่ามีเอฟเฟกต์เยอะดีแล้วก็มีแบบมีลาย
ถ้าชอบจริงๆก็ชอบอันที่5ครับ
อันที่ห้า
แล้วก็
สีฟ้า
แบบใช่เอาตาของอันที่1มาใส่
ชอบอันที่5เหมือนกันครับเหมือนป้อนเลยครับ
ต่อมาเป็นเสื้ออันนี้เสื้อเป็นแบบอื่น แต่ว่าเผื่อแบบอยากลองดูแบบอื่นหรือว่าชอบ3อันแรกมากกว่า
ชอบ3อันแรกมากกว่า2แบบที่พี่ทำมาทั้งตัวแล้ว
โอเคได้งั้นเดี๋ยวเก็บฟีดแบ็กของ BRU วันนี้แล้วเดี๋ยวเอาไปทำชุดมาให้ดูว่าสุดท้ายเนี่ยชุดจะเป็นแบบไหนนะครับแล้วก็รอติดตามกันได้เลย กลับมาแล้วนะครับก็หลังจากที่เก็บฟีดแบ็กมาแล้วก็พี่หมิงก็ไปวาดเรียบร้อยนะตอนนี้ก็ออกมา6ชุดนี่ทางนู้นวู้ฮู้
ด้านขวาสวยจังเลย
เฮ้ยเป็นไงบ้าง
ในบรรดา6ตัว6ชุดนี่ที่มีผมว่าผมชอบตัวขวามากกว่ามันดูแบบว่ามีแบบไม่อึดอัดใส่แล้วสบายตัวขาสั้นด้วยขาแต่อีกเกือบเนี่ยครับแล้วตรงหมวกด้วยพี่เป็นสัญลักษณ์เลยตรงหมวกแล้วพี่มีแบบไฟด้วยมันโคตรเท่อะ
อันนี้ชอบชิ้นไหนที่สุดในชุด
ชอบขาแต่กับกางเกง
โจชอบชุดไหนที่สุดครับ
ผมชอบขวาสุดครับชอบเสื้อครับชอบเสื้อ
ชอบเสื้อ
เต็ม10ผมให้7เลยเนี่ย
กำลังหายไปอีก3
7ว่าดัด
อ๋อจากวันเด็ดพี่เป้บ้างดีกว่าโค้ด
ชอบตัวขวาเหมือนกันครับ
เฮ้ยใช่เหรอรวมกันหมดเลยเหรอเฮ้ยรู้ได้เตรียมใช่ไหม
ก็กูชอบเหมือนกันนะ
บอล
ผมว่าผมชอบทั้งหมดเลยครับเพราะว่ามันแบบมันเป็นสัญลักษณ์ของแบบบุรีรัมย์อะไรเงี้ยมันเท่แล้ว
งั้นมีชิ้นไหนที่ชอบเป็นพิเศษไหม
เป็นส่วนของกางเกงของอันที่6ครับ
กางเกงอันที่หก
มันดูโดดเด่นอันเดียวเลย
อ๋อเป็นขาสั้น
ใช่
แบบสบาย
ใช่ครับ
อ๋อมีเขียนด้วย
ว่า
BRU
ใช่
คนสุดท้ายชอบอันไหนครับ
มันเพื่อนๆนะชอบอันที่6
ชอบส่วนไหนที่สุด
ชอบทุกส่วนนะชอบทุกส่วน
อ๋อคือเอาไปทั้งเซตเลย
ใช่ครับ
โอเค
ลงตัวแล้ว
ไงก็ฝากหน่อยว่าแบบชุดนี้มันเป็นชุดแรกที่เราทำแบบโคกับ Esports เลยไม่เคยทำมาก่อนครับบุรีรัมย์เป็นทีมแรกที่ได้แชมป์โลกแล้วทำให้ขายของ
ฝากซื้อกันเยอะๆนะครับก็ถ้าซื้อกันเยอะๆปีหน้าก็จะมีอีกนะครับก็ฝากด้วยครับ
ครับฝากด้วยครับผมว่าขอบคุณคนออกแบบครับผม
ครับ
This might be their first ever international tournament, but day 2 is for sure their stage to shine and explode.
ก็ทัวร์นาเมนต์อันนี้ก็ชนะเล็กๆน้อยๆครับเป้าหมายใหญ่กว่านี้ครับไม่ใช่แค่นี้ครับก็สัปดาห์นี้ครับวอร์มสนามครับสัปดาห์หน้าเดี๋ยวเจอกันครับ
None of these regions wants to go down too soon. For the name of the flag, hustling in the battle of regions.
Dalam week 1 saya rasa saya nak kalahkan tim Onyx lah sebab dia ada player yang baru dan saya cuba untuk bantai dia. After week 1, everyone will realize that team Vamos is back.
Gửi là nhắn nhủ tới Esports là không có rắc da thì mong họ phải chuẩn bị thật kỹ để đối đầu với FFWS. Khi đối đầu với FFWS thì mấy bạn lên cẩn thận bởi vì bọn mình là những đứa trẻ tinh nghịch.
Buat region lain ya jangan pernah anggap remeh Indonesia. Kita bakal kasih tahu kalau Indonesia juga kuat. Kalau buat target sih saat ini kita belum ada ya. Kita masih fokus sama tim kita sendiri. Kita masih bisa dibilang baru lah. Ada player baru kan masih banyak kurangnya. Jadi kita benar-benar buat tim sendiri dulu. Kalau buat tim lain nanti aja.
ผมว่าเป็นผลลัพธ์ที่ดีนะครับเพราะทีมไทยแข็งแกร่งกว่าทีมอื่นอยู่แล้วมีความกังวลครับแต่สู้ได้ครับยังพอไหวอยู่ครับพวกเราจะโฟกัสการเล่นของพวกเราครับให้เยอะขึ้นกว่าเดิมครับ
The thrive is real. Some territory has been claimed, but yet the battles of regions continue. Which regions will climb up to the highest rank?
Họ nói chúng tôi chỉ chiến thắng nhờ một kỳ tích. Chúng tôi đã nghe đủ một lần hoài nghi. Giờ là lúc chứng minh đó chưa bao giờ là may mắn mà là thực lực của chúng tôi.
Kami berjuang untuk mengukir nama di pentas dunia. Kini, kami di sini untuk membuktikan bahawa kami setara dengan yang terbaik.
เขาบอกว่ายุคของเรามันจบลงแล้วแต่ตำนานไม่ได้วัดกันที่อดีตมันวัดกันที่ก้าวต่อไปต่างหาก
Menjadi juara dunia memang pernah membawa kami ke puncak. Tapi, kegagalan selalu membayangi.
Kini, the lobby today, Falcons from Group C, in fact the best performing team out of Group C. 2 Booyahs to their name so far, but what matters more when it comes to the number search for Falcons is they are able to eliminate a big chunk of these players from each and every single lobby they hop on into. Falcons are looking like they are in their best shape ever. Fall season has always been, the reverse kryptonite for Falcons, right? It's been powering them, charging them up, and it seems like they've started off on a great foot this time round as well.
And when you add on the fact that both RQ Kazu and AGAL, Team Flash, all the big boys are not in this lobby today, I think it is time for Falcons to make a difference. But on top of that, we also have two teams that I personally want to focus as well, is Twisted Minds and Onyx Olympus. Because Onyx Olympus, the only team from Indonesia to not make that world stage appearance after what seemingly felt like a great 2025 run, they have something to prove for sure.
Yep.
Even Twisted Minds, right? They hit Champion Rush, but unfortunately, no trophy lifted.
Yeah, but obviously Onyx is focusing on improving their place. They've already brought one more onto their squad. He's known as Spoom right now. Although they haven't really popped off in the competition just yet. I feel like the team is still trying to gel together with each other, trying to find that chemistry in terms of play out there. But speaking of play, we've got a long tournament format for you guys. We've broken things down into 3 phases at the knockout stage. What you're watching right now is actually phase 1, where we will have 18 teams play in it.
Yeah. And all you have to kind of understand from the format is that after the first 2 weeks, when we head into phase 2 on week 3, every single day, the top 2 teams will qualify directly into the finals, and every other team after that will have to play in phase 3, where the top 6 team by the end of week 4 will join the first 6 in the finals. Here is a detailed timeline where week 1 is where we're at right now, the last day of week 1, and then all the way until Point Rush on 19th September and Champion Rush on 20th of September.
Absolutely, man. And of course, if you are looking forward to the very end, it will be quite sad if you just join us for the end. You should see how these teams make their journey from one phase into the other. Who gets to survive? Who gets to find the early access into Point Rush as well as Champion Rush? Who gets left behind? Because obviously, there's quite a bit to play for, right? We've got tons of money on the table, and just the winners alone get to walk away with $100,000 US.
100,000 US dollars, and that's not all. We also have incentive for the team of the day, who will get $250, and at the end of the entire tournament, the grand finals MVP will get an extra $4,000 on top. Everyone gets a piece of the pie. It really comes down to how big of a piece you get.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And of course, everybody, like you said, gets something out of it. And, teams shouldn't really be holding back because of that. You should be aiming for the highest. You should be going out all the time. But obviously, in phase 1, it's not going to be a very big problem. If you don't go all out, you still don't get eliminated just yet. But how do you collect those points? Well, you got to whack the booyah. You got to get as close as possible to the final circle so you can walk away with as many placement points as possible. But these are limited. What is unlimited is those eliminations. Every elimination gets you 1 point. If you end up on a tiebreaker, we'll look at the number of booyahs followed by the total eliminations, and finally by the ranking in the final game to see who sits above the other.
Yeah. And one of the other tenets that govern competitive Free Fire system is sort of how we divide them into groups, right? We have 18 teams. We break them out into 3 groups, A, B, and C. And then we play this round robin format, 6 games a day, like what you have seen in the past 2 days, where we look for the top 12 teams who will eventually, get that, I would say, buy into the next phase. And then they will also have the privilege to qualify first into finals.
Absolutely. And of course, knockout phase 2 and 3, this is where things get a little bit spicy. This is where things get a little heated up. In phase 2, you will find 2 teams finding the qualifier into the final week. And this happens every single day of week 3. And of course, in phase 3, like you guys just knew, it's the last 12 teams that duke it out. But at the end of the day, only the top 6 can move on into the grand finals.
And every single team must follow the rule of unique active skill. So no duplicates are allowed, which has produced some of the more interesting personalities for some of these teams, where they get to really showcase their playstyle and really fine-tune the loadout to suit what fits them best. Falcons, for example, very unique. Bigatron by Vitality, also one of the more unique teams to approach this game because of these rules.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And of course, the starting lineup of these squads, you know the names, you know the faces already. But one squad that has not been making a lot of noise, making their presence very well respected out there, has been Vamos. I'm expecting a lot from them as we wrap up week 1 here, Husky.
Yeah, Vamos, again, they have had a taste of that world stage, and they restored hope to the region after 4 years of drought, and now they need to utilize the experience that they have gained, because even Vamos were able to get some highlight reels during their stint in Paris. And today, against a team like WAG, who faced a lot of doubts but won in spring, now not looking that good, I think they're also hungry for more. But like you said, AJ, the Malaysians are all playing today.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm looking forward to them stepping it up. And we've also got Esports. Sea Spring, they walked away with the second spot. They almost became champions. If it wasn't for Secret WAG, perhaps they could have. But is it over? Obviously not. They've got the fall season in here to go all out once again. And of course, we've got EVOS. EVOS without Russia still looks to be pretty threatening out there.
And I think it was something that was pretty unexpected, right? Russia hinted at his break after EWC, and now without him and EVO still thriving, it means that they are still moving in the right direction. But we also have MEC returning to the fall season. We saw them before. They didn't really get to do that much because of the despairing skill gap. But now they have another chance to prove that they have what it takes to remain in the big league.
And of course, we start things off at Bermuda today, followed by Solara and Purgatory to end Game 3. We'll take a quick short break and then come back into Nextera and Kalahari. And as all you guys know, Game 6 is going to be absolutely random. We'll reveal that map to you after Game number 5, just before we hop on into the final match of the day. So when you look at Bermuda, Husky, which are these teams are you going to be keeping your eyes on, man?
I think BRU has to be one of the top teams. BRU, to a certain degree, I think PE Sports also one of the top Bermuda teams that we have throughout the past few seasons.
Yeah.
But the key thing is that there's regional pride on the line, right? We are looking at which nation will dominate today, because the winner gets to choose a team from the losing region, and the loser have to give a bow to the winner. So yeah, pride is on the line for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, we've seen how a couple of the losers have been taking their losses so far, and they've been absolute champs about it. So I kind of respect the players. The sportsmanship is still very much alive in all of these teams, win or lose.
Yeah, actually, most of the players from Southeast Asia are incredibly close friends, right? They have a tight-knit circle.
That's
but
true.
when the competition is involved, then you gotta get down and dirty. One of the roster transfers, or should I say, that really excites me is Ikal's entrance into EVOS, because when we first saw him, I believe he was with, he was back then with, even before Thorad, it was with, I think, First Raiders Eclipse, and then he played with BTR, and then he played with Dewa, and then RRQ. We know he is one of the most talented snipers / captains out there, but he never really got to show much of it, right? His last appearance was Global Finals with RRQ, and even then, it really felt like he wasn't utilized as much. Now, to fill in the shoes of the Wonder Kid, he definitely gets another chance to prove himself.
And I think he has been proving himself quite a little bit already, but it's not like they only have to depend on the newest entrants, because always we have seen the team of EVOS kind of depend on Russia. But the question is, were the strategies and tactics and the rotations all created with the prime sniper in mind, and that's why the team behaved in such a way? We kind of get to see a little bit of what they're capable of without that heavy dependence on their super sniper, and they seem to be doing absolutely fine. I think the rotations are looking a little bit more tighter right now, but EVOS is not looking as dangerous on the attack. I think they were holding back the first time they played. Today, there is a possibility they get a tad bit more flexible with their aggression out there.
Yeah, I think Ikao fills in that void pretty well. He has always been quite the flexible player, and he is sort of like the happy-go-lucky. You want me to do ABC, I will do ABC. And in this case, filling in that shoes, when you need someone who is a lot more composed and experienced, and I think Ikao does have that pedigree, right? Because one of the lessons that I think the public learned from Russia's break is that the pressure is immense. And if that is something that you cannot overcome, then it starts to become a problem when you reach the top. And I think Ikao, he is in the right headspace to deal with that.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think, of course, if you talk about EVOS, we also have to talk about Faiz, right? He is the front runner of the squad right now when it comes to the assists, when it comes to the pure numbers that the squad has been able to take. As the new sniper or the main sniper of the squad, he has been doing absolutely fine. But you and I think that EVOS is not going to be showing up in this game number one, at least as the Booyah takers. We think it's going to be either Buriram or Falcons. I would not fight you on that Falcons pick, man.
I wouldn't fight myself on the Falcons pick either, because I did highlight that PE Esports is a very strong team on the Bermuda, but Falcons, they technically set one of the world records. Well, now the second highest world record on Bermuda. There's a good chance that they make it happen here, but BRU clearly the crowd favorites. But just to add on to the point about Faiz, when he played with BTR back then, he was also one of the up-and-coming stars, right? In fact, his impact in the front line was immense in his first season. And now in EVOS, when they already have very strong firepower in the front, I'm excited to see what he and Ikao has cooked up today.
Yeah, absolutely. If they front Ikao a little bit more, we get to see exactly how well he gets to play. The last week round, we only saw him brought in, I think, if I'm not mistaken, just one match. So, and they seem to have been kind of heavily focused on their main roster right now, which I think is going to be a big risk as well. And the question is, if they do not focus on that main roster and they do bring Ikal in, who are they going to be dropping, right? Because Kochil, Aimgod, Abax just looking too much in their prime at this point of time, and in rhythm, none of them looking really like they are struggling out there. But as we look at the drop spots of the squads here, we get to see Bigatron, by Vitality, and Magna get into it early on.
Starting off at Rimnam Village, a very popular spot for the Malaysians. But when you have BTR around the corner, you are going to be expecting some early fights. And Magna is making good on that. We're taking down two already. Virus finds the third one. That's Deeks removed from the equation. And BTR off to a very, very poor start.
Yeah, you got to sit on that vending machine there. And it looks like that's exactly what Magna is looking to do as they quickly chase the final player. PE Esports will find themselves Vamos as well. So Malaysia in the thick of the action very early on in this lobby. C2 with the mini Uzi. Good glue wall by Jun, but he will be pressured by the player right behind. Runs out a bullet, wrong time, but it's a 2v1 and Narrow catches up. PE Esports still on the hunt, looking for their third piece, and it's going to be Zuwes. Two players up against him, and he has nowhere to go. But it finds the third point for PE Esports at the expense of Vamos.
Yeah, some old habits do die hard. Because during the run in Paris, Vamos, or at that time known as Aurora Gaming, very known for kind of rolling the dice in that early drop and going for those points. And one of their prime targets was actually Secret WAG, or Team Secret at that point. Now trying to do the same against PE, who has a great reputation for that first 8 minutes on Bermuda. They ended up paying the price, and they might pay it in a more hefty manner if Twisted Minds finds the Axel, and it seems like that's going to be the case. An early exit for Vamos.
Yeah, there's just no way you get away from this one. Diamond's already flanking from the left. Axel, Riptide Rhythm he has to deal with as well. Has the vehicle though. And Diamond with the G36 is wrong car, but it doesn't matter because Exposi has the sniper. M24 takes the final player of Vamos out of the equation only after the 3 revives were pulled in. So he stayed alive long enough. Great play from the player.
Always reliable when you need a clutch factor. On Fire did catch out Aimgod. With Evo's now in the conversation, I think between Kochu and Ikao, there is going to be that minor friendly contest to see who is worthy of a slot, right?
Yeah.
I think obviously the fans will say Kochu because he has been there the entire way. But it's nice because I did have this discussion on FFMIC, I believe yesterday with Arca, about whether a team should stick with a main 4 or have a substitute.
Yeah.
I think we get to see that play out for EVOS.
Absolutely. And speaking of EVOS up against Falcons here, this is going to be a tough one for Gochil. Gets tagged up. Porpor makes one mistake, but recovers with the glue wall and more life. VSK straight to the chest. Gochil taken out of the equation. Now, again, we had to commend Axel earlier on for the survival play, but Vamos still hasn't brought him back into play just yet. And this is a team that, if they start to struggle at the very, early ends of these lobbies, they don't find that recovery quick enough. So Vamos about to be in trouble if they don't bring him in. And as I say that, Jun brought right back into the lobby as Falcons finds another point for themselves.
It's a team that takes quite some time to soul search. And even then, to maintain the consistency is a completely different matter. Although EP, they do run into the compound where BTR are at. And BTR early on did suffer some heavy damage against Magna. Let's see if the second Malaysian team can do the same.
They have a great position here, Kenshin. It's all about him and his VSK. If he can find the flank, then Bigatron by Vitality might just be smashed right here, right now. Ryu finds the Bison headshot. Dix does find the trade, though. Ryu taken out of the equation. Raja too far away for the trade, and they choose to not step in and challenge the player's trade head on, but instead flanking around from the right-hand side. Mikacha runs straight into the vending machine. Quick fingers will bring Ryu back in. That's the insurance policy, but this is just Esports Putrajaya playing for survival and not looking for elimination points.
Raja takes out Kyong, but no confirmation there. So BTR, they get themselves 2 points, 3 points in fact. But the Mikacha's sacrificial play very much needed. If they all stuck around, that could have been a full wipeout. So him trading his life for that revive ensures that at least for Esports Putrajaya, the revived teammate is going to be able to drop far away and restart the run. Now Onyx Olympus gonna find themselves against EVOS.
They did have Kenshin though, so they didn't really need to go in there and force that buyback. The two players flanking around should have just taken a chance in that situation, but it's just a could have maybe sort of a situation there, because Esports Putrajaya haven't really shown us the best of gunfights here so far as well. So that same thought, I guess I agree with that revive. But Onyx though, as they flank around towards the right, they might just bump into MBR, who are keeping an eye on the players of Buriram, or should I say the reverse. Buriram on the roof, just cheeky shot for Sana, trying to sneak one away with the car.
Yeah. Part of me believes that it was because of BRU that Onyx Olympus decided to backtrack where they came from, because they were running straight for EVOS. But they were able to find themselves quite the compound to work with around Bima Sakti Strip. So 4 teams here will make that 5, because WAG are right in the middle. And they're going to share a compound with BRU. And BRU, they're not going to be happy about this.
That's a wonderful rotation there for Secret WAG. Right down below Buriram now. So not in trouble of having Buriram run at them. The issue is going to be barricading the space from Onyx. And therefore, WAG does not stay on the ground floor. They move into the second floor, which you could say is the safest spot at the salon.
Secret WAG will now basically hold this spot for as long as possible, which makes the next circle, or at least the next 2 circles, even more important. I think even for EVOS, they wouldn't want to go on an exploration anyway. Back to Rimnam Village, where the Boltmaker was used. Still, Esports Putrajaya against BTR will be the story for now.
This right gun, not much of an aim there, as Ryu manages to drive away. Bigatron by Vitality. Lightning Zone called out by Esports Putrajaya. That was a very expensive escape tactic from the Malaysian squad, but I guess you got to do what you got to do to survive. Axel taken out of the air with the Car 98. Magna in the region to find more points off of Vamos. And Suez is the next one to get caught out here. The Malaysian squad just spraying on each other.
Unfortunate circumstances for Vamos, but great stuff for Magna. 7 eliminations. Especially when you are at the bottom of the leaderboard, this will give you a very, very big boost. And the end goal, at least by today, is to make it to top 12 and then think about how to stay there for the next week. As the feed now lights up, it's Esports Putrajaya suffering losses to BTR. Falcons now coming in to intercept.
Yeah, I mean, 2 monsters, both collapsing on Esports Putrajaya, both sharing points between themselves, and the Malaysian squad just has got one final survivor. Porpor finds Sibeng, and yeah, Porpor is definitely not Predator. He's just Porpor. The guy just hasn't played all that too much, but has been around the professional circuit for quite a little while, and On Fire flanking around with the M590 finds one beautiful shot and follows it up with another. The rest of the players on the side of Bigatron just scramble at the sight of On Fire.
And Falcons, even though with some changes in the roster, has not lost their identity as well. The touch of aggression has always been what defined their run, and On Fire, one of the longest standing members from the OG Falcons roster, from back when they were C-Triple-G, still killing it with 4.
Let's see. As MBR tries to see if they can nick off a couple of points off of the Bigatron by Vitality squad, which forces them to split apart. And that's probably not the best of ideas here. Falcons moving straight towards Koja. He might not be able to survive this one long, as Onyx will be looking to gatekeep the backs as well. The player taken out of the equation. That ended way too quick. It's the right-hand side here. If you see Magna as well as the Vamos squad at Factory about to collapse into each other. Yet another Malaysian civil war.
Quite the dangerous and risky rotation. But we got to remind you guys that the Buriram Champion bundle is coming soon. So stay tuned and don't miss it. If you've seen the waiting screen, they did talk about the design. So it's gonna be pretty fun to get your hands on them.
No better way to booyah in style, Jun. Beautiful shot to the foot and then straight to the chest. Virus with the VSK. Takes him out, and Magna, that's just the first shot. Yezu is going to get caught out as well. The Valiant dash just to confuse them. But since they had the numbers and the 180 easy flick by Jans, Magna finds another player on the side of Vamos. And that's what we talked about earlier on. The recovery just has not been kind to the Malaysian squad.
And we saw the double riptide rhythm from outside as well. Those blue walls are going to get blasted down. The Bars in danger, and Exposito will bail him out. Vayback's removed from the fight. Twisted Minds have a free entry in. Next on the list is Aim God, and Evo's Divine just have to concede.
Yes, jump with the M590, and he just doesn't need to do much, as Onyx will not charge on forward. Axel with the revive as well. Evo's scrambled. There's just no choice whatsoever for them to get to each other, and they will be sitting with their final survivor left in here in the lobby. Vending machine not too far away, but Twisted Minds should be able to take him out if he does attempt to bring in those revives. Onyx is there as well, so it's going to be a very risky play here for EVOS. Falcons, on the other hand, off screen, dealing with the players on the side of Bigatron.
Long-standing rivalry between the Falcons and the supposed Falcon Slayers, and head-to-head has actually been pretty close, at least for the past almost 2 years. But it was the earliest sequence that we really saw the essence of Twisted Minds, and even though they had a lot of close calls on the big stage, on when it matters the most, the one thing that always remained a constant is how good they were in these quick, decisive pushes, which coincidentally is one of the core weaknesses of Evo's Divine. They just couldn't handle these pressures.
Oh my, MBR just needs to look behind, and I think they should be able to find another free point here, but you know, the task has already been completed, Jun, with that revival. At least allow another one of his players to get to the vending machine on that revive and keep the squad alive and kicking somehow. But MBR seems to have caught up with him already, starting things off with the grenade. Buriram, on the other hand, on top of the roof with Secret WAG right below them, still on standby for action to start on their side. MBR in front of Bigatron by Vitality. Wrong spot to jump on into. They didn't scan the area with the binoculars, and they might just pay a big price for it. Rafaela down on the ground. Sibang with the M82B penetrating behind those glue walls. Time to call down, and MBR with the perfect save off of the chrono.
And just like that, BTR might have found a lifeline here. So MBR's glue wall will keep them alive for now. Sibang just needs a couple of good ones. They are all at quite the dangerous spot, and Sibang finally connects a knockdown. Make it 2, and Sibang is coming alive, and Koja wants to join the party. Farah bleeds out to the blue, and a complete wipeout for MBR.
The M82B is a monster in the right hands. Those glue walls meant to protect it, absolutely nothing up against the gun. And Bigatron by Vitality. Beautiful stuff out there. Vamos finally taken out of the equation, and now the Falcon Hunters being hunted down by the Falcons themselves. Porpo fighting one for himself. Lightning Zone called out here, most potentially by Buriram, so that they can find a quick rotation. But Secret WAG went and pulled one of their own out as well. That could be potentially to stop the players of Buriram from getting too far. They want to go out on the hunt.
Was a Dinoculus used as well, a full ping, so most likely is BRU reconfirming the presence of WAG. Multiple UAVs sent out to cover the perimeter, but Secret WAG, they gotta find a way out of this. There is a good chance though, because BRU are moving first, so Secret WAG could completely dodge the conflict, and Moshi, he's taking heavy fire. High chances from PE.
Yeah, it's PLS1 up on top of the roof with the AWM in hand. 9-7 now, circling around. Getting us about to be trapped in here. M590 up against Get High, and he stood no chance. Moshi smashed at the same time as well. Tikui with the double. Secret WAG. It was such a thing of beauty with both Buriram and Secret WAG having the exact same idea with the Lightning Zone. Yes, they didn't manage to catch Buriram with that, but it was the play on top of the roof, and the sniper of the squad gets the job done perfectly.
I believe this round was complete and utter silence from BRU's end. Last we checked in, they didn't even have a single elimination. Yeah, they don't. So only one placement points from the entire round.
Oh yeah.
Oddly passive approach from BRU. At least I thought that they would be a bit more involved in getting some elims, but unfortunately we have to sit the rest of Bermuda out, which should have been one of their best maps. Esports Putrajaya gets a couple of their names on the feed. Falcons with 12 eliminations, and they're looking for Secret WAG.
Well, WAG with a long rotation around. The players are all scrambled. 9-7 gets tagged from afar. Most probably the players from the side of PE that took that shot. Twisted Minds are in a great spot to find WAG here, but the pressure from PE will keep them safe behind those windows. Circle squeezing everyone in little by little. And that's going to leave Kyong high and dry outside the zone, and he's going to perish most probably, as he has got no way to step on into the next zone. Porpo knocked down, it's Kyong! But finally the circle does its job.
A parting gift for Popor, but unfortunately doesn't have enough time or ammunition to complete the task. It did stall Falcons out for a little while, and now they have to take the launch pad towards the compound nearby. Great Glue Wall's coverage, and Falcons with a clear rotation to safety.
That was a perfect landing there with multiple glue walls set up, and nobody could touch them, even though they could see exactly what they were up to. PLS1 fantastic shot onto Boom, and he makes sure he gets the confirmation as well. Magna collapsing into Onyx, but it's Onyx is the one that is taking the majority of the damage from the circle, and now it's Crime that leaves the rest of Magna outside, and it is Esports Putrajaya that deals with Crime, and Magna hopping on in, trying to third party that situation, but the distraction just wasn't enough, and Magna might be in trouble. EVOS on the other hand eliminated already.
This feels like the Hunger Games, with Secret WAG being the judge, jury, and executioner on the high ground. They get to do whatever they want, and PE Sports, they've had enough of it. They're going to bolt for the high ground as well, so both the enemy's teams have the vantage point to get as much points as possible.
Oh man, this is just on fire right now, but finally gets knocked down to the ground. Twisted Minds is out. Falcons potentially going to get taken out of the equation here as well. Still within the circle. WAG finally shuts down Magna and the Malaysians plays. 4 more teams left in here, 2 from Vietnam. Secret WAG and PE Sports looking strong to walk away with that booyah, but you cannot allow Falcons to find that recovery because you know they're going to be the biggest threat.
The infighting between the Vietnamese might just be the window that Falcons need to get this game in their favor. Esports Putrajaya with the backstab onto Secret WAG after they've had possession of the high ground for so long. Now opens the game up for Falcons to swoop in for the potential booyah.
And Falcons now slowly flanking around from the left. Pina with the grenade as well, looking for Mikacha. Kenshin has been found, but Pina blocks it away with a good glue wall. Mikacha's defenses gets broken down. Nobody's taking him down just yet. On Fire does manage to find that one connection. Drew stepping into the time turner, but he will not be able to survive the oncoming On Fire, who gets a double for himself. Make that a triple. On Fire, truly on fire right now on the CQCs. And Falcons cleaning up house. Not a record-breaking game, but definitely a shattering one. as Falcons grabs Booyah #1 as suspected by Husky.
21 total eliminations and 10 of them double digits for On Fire. We literally talked about him being the longest standing OG members from before Falcons was Falcons, from when they won the Invitationals and then Spring and then EWC 24, and here we have On Fire really proving that he is one of the most consistent members of all time.
He has not broken the record of 11 eliminations held by Cypher and the God from Flash back in our spring season, but 10 eliminations, man, that's a lot. I'll take that. Falcons with an explosive game for sure, and they continue their dominating run. Yesterday was the day where we saw them just play 6 games, but they were sitting amongst teams who are from Group B, who had completed 12 games, and it looks like their dominant run will not be paused. Today, they have got nothing to worry about. No AGAL hunting for points out there. They are the prime predators by the looks of it. A very consistent squad. 7 games in a row, they've done well.
And honestly, this is the kind of game that always make the Falcon believers believe in that little faith that even on their worst days, they are going to have a miracle, a breakout round that could flip the entire script around. But if Falcons are on a hot streak and they do it over and over again, chances are no one can stand up to their dominance.
Yeah, nobody at all. Yesterday, 137 points in total. Obviously, not as much as what AGL swept up on day 1 with a total of 150, but 137 is impressive nonetheless. And yesterday, when they were playing and AGL was in the same lobby, AGL just couldn't pop off in the exact same way.
It's pretty crazy because if you look at the track record of some of these players, especially for On Fire, in the entire fall season, he's the only person that has 2 trophies in the regular season. Like even for BRU, they've only won 1. Sure, they have the most world trophies, but when we talk about spring and fall combined, it's actually On Fire who is the 2-timer, which is in a way quite absurd if you think about it. But that also makes him, again, one of the most decorated veterans that we have.
No doubt about that at all. 10 eliminations, 3,239 on the damage. This guy was truly on fire, pun intended. 4 assists, and the M590 with the range, with the damage, was obliterating everyone out there. He also had the Nikita on himself, and obviously the firearms expert. All you need is the little quicker reload on the M590 still to make it one of the most deadliest weapons out there. But what's more deadly about Nikita is the healing reduction. Every time he finds the connection, his opponents are not going to recover as quickly, which just gives them a much higher probability of raking in all of these elimination points. And clearly they did that very well in this match.
Yeah, On Fire really designed to inflict maximum pain, grievous wounds from Nikita, and of course it's hard to pin him down as well thanks to Joseph that he's carrying with him, and you give him an M590, I mean good luck trying to take him down because he is a highlight machine. 3,239 damage and 10 elims with 10 confirmed knockdowns. It almost feels like he's a one-man army.
Definitely seems to be the case. But what's impressive is all the 4 players on the squad have got more than 3,000 damage. It was a very active team on the battlefield. Everybody played their role. Obviously, with On Fire walking away with the most numbers there. Skylar Morse double snipe setup here. Porpor as well as Limit X7. Now, we've always known Limit was a super sniper out there, very effective. But with the addition of Porpor, I feel like Falcons have just taken the battle to a whole other level. And for the first time, I'm actually not seeing much of Limit X7. Porpor seems to be a tad bit more active out there.
Yeah, back then for Team Falcons, even during the double sniper meta, which is still quite the popular fad for 2026, Falcons is one of the teams that do not care about that because they want raw aggression. But if you have someone that can back limit up from that long range, you open up the battlefield for On Fire to work his magic. And how much scarier can Falcons get, right?
Absolutely scarier if they can continue this monstrous rhythm. I think, we've always looked for consistency when teams do well. And when it's Falcons, you kind of start hoping, can you please stop being consistent? Can you stop bullying the lobby? Because other teams need some points out there as well. Again, it's just phase 1. It's just teams measuring up themselves to each other. And here comes Falcons just smashing everyone aside. when they're just trying to see or dip their toes in the warm water first, right? So, I mean, good on Falcons. It's great that they're able to do that. Fall season has always been amazing for them, but it's really time for the Malaysians again to wake up, Husky. I feel like they did fairly well this game.
Yeah, like, especially for Magna, right? Magna actually came out, last we checked in on them, they were closing in on 10 eliminations.
Yeah.
But obviously, as the game went to the late game phase, it was them and Esports Putrajaya that ended up running into each other, and it became just complete pandemonium. They had Onyx waiting for them. They had Secret WAG, peppering them from the high ground. And again, you did say that you shouldn't be giving Falcons opening, and then PE Sports was like, nah, we want the fight now. We want the smoke with Secret WAG, and Falcons just took the win, from their cold dead hands. But that's the nature of things. I agree with you. Malaysian teams gotta step up, especially Vamos. Vamos are the current torch bearers, but we haven't seen that quality yet.
Yeah, they are bearing no torch. They're bearing the burdens of their decision making. They're down at the very bottom, no points at all in this game. You mentioned Secret WAG. I think the battle at the Salon was just a thing of beauty with them up against Buriram. Both teams big braining that situation. Buriram wanting to exit the compound, look for the circle, pulls out a lightning zone. WAG knew exactly what the lightning zone was for, and they said, hell no. They pulled out their own lightning zone trying to stop Buriram. And I don't think Buriram expected that counterplay, right? Because they were already out in the open by the time Secret WAG hit them with that. And then, of course, you saw the battle of the snipers from the rooftop. I think it was a deadly blow given by Secret WAG. Buriram wasn't expecting that. This was a rough round for the 3-time world champs.
Yeah, when they went for that rotation, I thought that it's going to be PE Sports to be their undoing. But no, Secret WAG, they follow BRU to the ends of the earth. It was them that completely capitalized on BRU's exposed back when when all eyes on BRU's end were focused on PE.
Absolutely, man. And of course, we've got the interview coming up for you guys in a little bit as well. Do you expect the exact same teams to find domination out there? Let us know as well. If we have got a player from the side of Falcons, I think that'll be quite interesting on this interview segment, Husky.
Yeah, I want to talk to Limit. In fact, you know what? I want to talk to On Fire because I think, I've had the chance to actually do some piece with them back in 2025 in Riyadh. Very chill bunch. It really felt like the pressure never really gets to them. But I want to, talk to On Fire one more time if I can, because I feel like staying at the top as one of the most dominant rushes, and at times even better than the Prince Wasana himself, it is not an easy feat.
Nah, not at all. One of the most surprising things from this lobby was that 7 teams got the double digits in terms of points. You don't see it being very top heavy, even though it was quite top heavy. I think more than 50 points just between the first 2 teams, right? WAG did really well. Falcons did really well in terms of points, and so many other points out there for teams like Magna, Esports Putrajaya as well. I mean, we talked about the Malaysian teams waking up. I did not expect them to stay alive and have a decent number of eliminations on their side as well. So I think they did very well today in comparison to their run yesterday. I think Esports Putrajaya, in the overall grand scheme of things, they survived a little longer than Magna, but Magna definitely had more eliminations than them at that point itself. But like you mentioned earlier on, Vamos, they need to start working up, man, because yes, they're the torchbearers, but they haven't really been doing anything differently out there that is really going to save their gameplay or get them to that final circle yet.
It was a team that, last year they missed out EWC by like a few positions, and then this year they made it, and they actually had quite the splash, right? If we put aside the grand finals, which was a completely different ball game, 5 more rounds to prove themselves. I think even if Vamos doesn't do well, if they have inspired Esports Putrajaya and Magna to work on their game, I think it's a collective win for the region.
True enough. Although I don't think they would feel like that's a win for them. They don't want to be motivating anybody else. They just want to go all out and get the job done on their own. But of course, Vamos, not the best team, but definitely not the worst team when they played first. But we do have that interview that we talked about earlier on coming up for you guys, an interview with the Falcon player. We'll be back with you in a bit.
Hey guys, now we are with the very outstanding team, which is Team Falcons. ตอนนี้นะคะเราก็อยู่กับทีมที่ได้บูย่าแรกของวันมาสำเร็จซึ่งก็คือทีม
Falcon ครับ
Can you briefly introduce yourself ช่วยแนะนำตัวสั้นๆหน่อยค่ะ
ครับผม Falcon พีนาครับ
Falcon พีนาของเรานั่นเองนะคะ So what's your feeling of winning today's first game ความรู้สึกของเราในการที่เปิดวันมาเราได้บูย่าเลยเป็นยังไงบ้างคะ
ก็ดีครับก็เมื่อวานก็เปิดมาก็ได้บูย่าก็ชิวๆ
I am really happy about that. But yesterday we got the booyah from the first game also, so the feeling is not that big. I feel so from that, but still happy. And will this booyah boost your confidence for the rest of the match? แล้วบูย่าแรกเนี่ยจะทำให้เรามีความมั่นใจจนจบแมตช์วันนี้เลยไหมคะ
ก็มีความมั่นใจตั้งแต่เมื่อวานอยู่แล้วก็เล่นเหมือนเมื่อวานเลย
I have the confidence since yesterday, so I will keep my momentum and our team momentum from now on. And the last question, since Thailand got the team of the day from day 1 and day 2, do you think you guys can keep the momentum and dominance in 2 days as well? ก็คือทีมไทยเนี่ยได้ team of the day มาตั้งแต่วันแรกแล้วก็วันที่ 2 เราคิดว่าเราสามารถรักษาฟอร์มในวันนี้แล้วก็สามารถเป็น team of the day อีกครั้งได้ไหมคะ
ก็คิดว่าทำได้ครับวันนี้ก็อยากให้ไทยได้ทีมออฟเดย์ทุกวันเลย
I'm pretty sure that today we're going to get the team of the day also, and also hope that from the rest of the tournament we're going to be the team of the day every day. And that is the interview for now. Let's see what will happen in the game 2. นั่นคือการสัมภาษณ์ตอนนี้นะคะไปดูกันดีกว่าว่าเกม 2 จะเป็นยังไงบ้าง บ๊ายบาย
Sometimes, when you're trying to get into the zone and then there are teams shooting at you and there's a decision on whether or not you pick up your team member. That's exactly what the host was feeling like when she dropped a cue card and she's like, should I pick? No, I'll save myself from the zone first. But of course, beautiful interview. And I feel like one more, very humble. He wants to be the best team of the day again. And I feel like he's not really going to struggle very much to get there if they continue doing what they're doing, because I don't really see any other big contenders for Falcons today in terms of, looking for those big points, as opposed to Buriram, who you may have thought might be a big contender, but they don't seem to be that at all at this point.
It is continuing or going to continue to be a conversation after what we saw from Buriram in spring and then Paris and then sort of like towards the end of week 1. BRU definitely felt like the prime BRU is not there anymore, and it's something that is inevitable, right? You can't stay at the top forever, but it's definitely also quite the question mark of where does BRU stand, because we haven't seen them play that slow. It almost felt like what Floxo would have been back in 2024, especially on that Bermuda performance, and hopefully it's just BRU trying to warm up their engines and come striking back harder in game 2, because we need some resistance to be shown towards Falcons. My hope was BRU and Twisted Minds, but if Twisted Minds can't do that, Falcons are going to run amok.
Yeah, I feel like Buriram is not really going all out just yet, but at the same time, it doesn't mean they're throwing all of these games, right? They're definitely a team that likes to take it a tad bit slow. They know they don't need to go all out just yet, and we've seen this pattern even in Seafall 2025. But at the end, they were not champions though. They only managed a podium finish in the 3rd spot. But they did go on to the global finals and become champions for the 3rd time. So I think there is a possibility they take this one easy as well, but focus more on the end goal, which is to, number 1, keep eyes off of them as a big threat for global finals, and number 2, walk away with the 4th global trophy for themselves. But if they want to walk away with anything, I feel like they need to walk away with some praise first. Salara is a map that we have seen Buriram dominate in the past. I want to see a little bit of a comeback here.
BRU is one of the top teams. Bigatron by Vitality also has a decent track record, but that's more towards 2025. We saw a bit of that shift heading into the start of this year. Hopefully they can regain some of that flair. But just on slightly longer on the topic of BRU, I feel like it's a question that was asked, I think collectively by the panel and on broadcast back in Paris, and is something that is worth revisiting, is how long do you hide your cards, right? Like BRU, is the magic truly gone? Because we've been waiting for quite a while, right? Sure, they won 2025 global finals, but then we started waiting at the start of this year until now. We are still waiting for that prime BRU to return.
Yeah, man, you won some diamonds. You got to wait a few thousand years, Husky.
You're right about that, yeah.
You don't get them raining all the time, then it's not special anymore. But, speaking of raining, the regional pride on the line, because we obviously have got each and every single one of the regions out here decked out, and it seems like Falcons is currently carrying the pride of the region of Thailand very well.
And if you have someone like Falcons representing you, honestly, I feel like everyone should take a bow at the end towards Team Falcons for such an amazing performance that has set the benchmark, at least for today. They were the benchmark setters for yesterday, but today definitely seems like it's going towards their direction as well. Our predictions are going to be on the screen for game number 2, and I'm looking at BRU, right? I'm putting my chips on them for Solara.
Okay, I'll tell you. You guys want me to tell you the truth? I'll tell you the truth, okay? The truth is, I looked at the wrong lineup of maps when I did my predictions. I probably will have to redo this. But you know what? For the heck of it, let's just stick with Bigatron by Vitality, man. You know what? Maybe luck will just come through. But then again, my own stupid mouth was the exact same mouth that asked for Buriram to wake up. So I'm technically supporting your pick this time around as well, Husky, in a way. But, you know, does it really matter to me at the end of the day? Absolutely not. Whoever who takes away the booyah, whoever who wins, I could care less. But what I do care about is some really, really good Free Fire games out there so that we can perhaps figure out exactly who's going to be walking away with the championship at the end of the day. That being said, though, even though we kind of... Thank you, Prad. Thank you. Thank you. You guys are very sweet, right? Man, now I don't know whether or not we should be on Buriram. I technically, with that very tricky sentence, I had 2 predictions. Now I just have 1.
I literally wanted to say that sure, our picks might have swapped, you know, if we base it off of our conversation leading up to that. But collectively, those were the 2 things that we are focusing on, right? So I wouldn't put it past BTR, as again, their track record on Solara has been quite the stellar one amongst a lot of our teams out there. But if BRU gets it, then great. It is going to kickstart a potential recovery run. And if they do it in the earlier rounds of today, then we are going to have a more exciting second half. Fight path, though, very generous down the middle.
We got to be careful what we wish for, Husky, because Buriram might just start kicking some butt out there. And just like what I said about Falcons, maybe we don't want them to be so consistent so these other teams can walk away with some solid points. That said, the team still did walk away with some solid points, even with Falcons farming the lobby. And it looks like they are out to farm again, because if there's any map that you can play those farms well on, it is Solara, and Esports Putrajaya starting off the journey here a tad bit rough up against PE.
Yeah, first it was Team Vamos that faced the gun barrel PE, and now it's Esports Putrajaya. There has always been this, hidden, I would say, rivalry, hidden hunt behind the scenes. For some reason, PE Sports is always the team that ends up finding the Malaysians and giving us quite the run for our money.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of it spearheaded by Nero, who is the mastermind for PE and has always been sort of like I would say that the light of the team. I remember when they won their Clash Squad trophy, he was one of the most excited person, him and LBT.
He may be the light of the team, but Bedev is the brand new light of the team. The guy is just hilarious. He's got a sweet face, jokes around all the time. I think he's keeping the mood on the side of PE quite light. You gotta have some fun if you want to win some games out there. It's not too much of fun where you stop focusing on your strategies. The strategies on the side of MBR looking solid at this point of time. But Fancy now, VSS in hand, on fire trying to flank around his left. With the P90 in hand, Fancy starts off with the shot, and now On Fire exposes himself to Bara as well. This is a big potential here for On Fire to get smashed down, and he does get knocked down to the ground. Fancy, beautiful stuff from him, and the rest of Falcons can't seem to recover this situation. Pina now too far out in front, and it looks like he's going to get taken down as well, unless Limit and Porpor can do something.
That was a lost cause from the beginning. We even saw On Fire slow down right beside the bus where I believe Fancy Z was hiding behind. And Refila might have a chance as well. Oh, he doesn't see him. But the glue wall plays right at the right time. Porpor, one of the newer additions to the team, now has his first test. A 1v1 Mini Woozy in Refaila's hands, but he's going to take a stealth bite and get out of there.
Man, if Refaela had a sniper on him at that point of time, Porpor would have been down. Falcons could have stood a chance of getting eliminated from this lobby too early. And speaking of Rafaela, he just, again, does not have the right gun, and up against Limit in what was not going to be easy at all. But Limit now shut down from afar. The shot's perfect from Bara. Porpor waiting for Limit to expire and instantly buys him back.
Fantasy doing another great job. First the backstab onto On Fire, and then the trade onto Limit. But Falcons, they do have control of the vending machine, and MBR understands that, so they are going to evacuate from this area, as a long drawn-out fight will only add to their problems. Falcons, they walk away with 1, and MBR gets 2. Meanwhile, BRU cleaning up house. That's Moshi with 3 already. And Evil's Divine standing no chance, will have to get out of there.
Yeah, Moshi's clearly pissed off after the previous game. They're starting off this match a little bit quick. But he might want to calm down. The driving is a tad bit off there.
You gotta hold your horses sometimes. Onyx against BTR at building. But Onyx didn't really commit the full squad. Secret WAG might have a chance to capitalize off of this. And Pumacy Bang are off in the wayside. Demons in a 1v2, but it's gonna be a 1v5 if Secret WAG hops in the building. Reinforcements arrive, and WAG are going in for the rush.
Yeah, PLS1 just on fire at that point of time. And now T-Kui buys it in hand. Kyung stood no chance. Bigatron by Vitality. Thank God they swapped out my prediction.
And thank goodness they got mine wrong. Oh, actually, no, they got mine correct, right? I just didn't account for BTR. But you get the point. Now our record is wiped clean. It's a clean slate. BRU off to a great start. BTR, not so much. Can be only so many teams with the B initials in that prediction.
Production with the save there. Thanks, production. You guys rock. Vamos. Oh no. Jun with the positioning here. And PLS1, if he catches Jun off guard, that's going to be a problem here. And Vamos, the rest of them keeping an eye, the high ground on their side up against the players of Secret WAG. And they're just not in position to take those shots and punish Secret WAG on this jump pad play here. Wasted opportunity for Vamos.
Hush. I thought at least they would have gotten 1, but they just decided to hold off on that. Not really sure what the intention was, but it does allow Secret WAG to basically make a clean rotation. On the flip side for Vamos is that they now get control of the compound. The downside is that there's not really much left here to scavenge.
Damage King, the one and only Moshi. Obviously, the guy is on fire right now, literally as well. On screen, and as I speak of him, the RTS 50, a rare gun used by Moshi. He doesn't care what he uses at this point of time. He just wants more points. They crashed out way too early. That was not the plan for Buriram today, obviously. And this game is one where they will try their best to make up for the loss in the previous matchup. The day gets taken down by Getna. Winchester shuts him down on that rotation. And Buriram on their 6th point now.
Honestly, you give Moshi the throwing knives from Lone Wolf, he's going to headshot you from 50 miles away if he has to. And BRU with 6 Slims. We're going to check back on them in just a little bit, because right now, Magna are about to clash with Twisted Minds. And again, Twisted Minds, really decisive in the CQC. And even when they're outnumbered, Jump and the Bars will be on one side, and Diamond, he might have a flank angle.
It's all about Virus here. If he can handle Diamond, I think this is a battle that Magna can win. If Diamond wins out this battle, this is a GG for them. Virus needs it. Jump already laid down to the ground, but it's X-Posse that helps out from afar. Diamond does not go down. The best finds Jans as well. Yep, this play is going to break Magna apart for sure. Alif trying his best to get away. Diamond with the Car 98 will not be able to smash down those glue walls, and the chase is going to be a tad bit slow as Esports shows up out of nowhere.
In the lightning zone as well. No, Magna escapes by the skin of the teeth, and Twisted Minds will have to try and do the same. There is a vending machine nearby, so hopefully Diamond has at least gotten a revive. I think he has. But even if he goes down, the rest of Twisted Minds will live on. PE Sports on the hunt for the 7th point. One on your left. I can't believe it. Diamond actually got out.
Yeah, he got away with that one. And Diamond should be able to bring his buddies right back in. Car 98 in the hands of the Hallman. Bedeb spotted him. Yep, that's the light and joy of the squad. LBT pushing on 4th. Should be able to find Diamond here in the situation, but the revives have been brought through already. Diamond His sacrifice is well worth it. Jump instantly returns the favor, brings Diamond back into the match, and Twisted Minds pretending like nothing ever happened.
Quite a round for Falcons as they only have a single elimination so far, 8 minutes in. The Indonesians about to clash. It's the veterans against the newcomers, Evos against MBR. A full rush into the building. The utilities are good. Joker and Fanteezy, they have been fantastic for the earlier parts of the game, and the conversion is immediate. Evos didn't really stand a chance there.
Oh, that's it. Evos is done here. Faiz is caught out, and boom, with the shots, but it is Kenshin that sneaks that away. Esports Putrajaya punishing Onyx as well as they snuck the point away from under their noses. Now Demons is going to be caught in a tight little spot here with 4 players on the side of Esports Putrajaya looking for another point which they desperately need.
One of the duos worth highlighting on EP side is Mikacha and Raja, right? They both previously played together, I think back in the MCP era with Todak. So they have a long-standing history even during some of the darkest eras of the region, and now still sticking together as one of the classic dynamic duos, which we don't really see much of anymore for Malaysian teams. And leading Kenshin and Ryu and giving them room to showcase what they're made of. Esports Putrajaya making good on the potential.
And the game truly has changed in many ways since the time of the powerful combo that just spoke of. But Malaysia and its players have barely changed, barely caught up, kept up with the rest of the changes in the rest of these regions. May just get left in the dust if they don't start making any big changes. Demons now shows up, Valiant Dash, breaks down his defense. Is Demon still alive? Come on, they took way too long to get that one extra point. Yes, Demons was good on the on the footwork, but Esports Putrajaya showing signs of weakness for sure.
Yeah, that was their fight to lose. Well, thankfully none of them took any damage, because even if Demons even gets a knockdown, then it would be quite the chink in the armor. But now a formidable opponent arrives, and it's Falcons looking to get aggressive and start racking up some points.
Yeah, there's a vending machine in the compound. That's going to be the only saving grace here. And you can immediately see Esports Putrajaya quickly recomposing themselves, aligning their positioning to make sure that if they need an instant revive, that can be pulled off. As Falcons do not give them a chance. Esports Putrajaya cannot run away from this compound. They will be forced to take this battle. FGL shots for On Fire through the containers, and quickly repositioning himself as well. Question is, will he be spotted by Kenshin? AWM up on top, but Limit keeping an eye on him.
And Ryu's position is very important. In fact, he pushes out of the compound. They want to really force Falcons out of this area, and Ryu good on that, but On Fire will find a trade onto Mikacha. Actually gets tagged from afar, but still not down just yet. With Pina coming to reinforce, Falcons will trade 1 for 2. Popo, what was that shot? Raja gets removed, and Falcons coming out on top.
I don't want to say I told you so, Husky, but I told you so, man. Limit barely needs to do much when Porpor is on fire, and Porpor has not been snuffed out just yet by anybody. On fire now, can he stop it? No, he can't. Great glue wall plays here by Kenshin, and he brings in a triple revive for Esports Putrajaya. That was the best play from Esports Putrajaya so far.
A lifeline for EP, but 4 big points for Falcons. Twisted Minds removed off screen by PE Sports. Down to 8 teams remaining. And if you guys haven't heard of this just yet, we do have something special for you. It's the Buriram Champions bundle that is coming soon in your stores. If you have some time, check out the waiting screens where BRU actually met with the dev team to talk about the design, and it looks pretty cool.
You can say that again, man. It looks more than cool. I feel like if I buy the bundle, I'm going to start getting a few extra booyahs out there. Even if I don't, at least I lose in style. Kacha buys Kenshin back in here. That's going to be the perfect recovery for Esports Putrajaya. Although they were on the brink of annihilation, they have to be proud of themselves. They've hung on for their dear lives, all thanks to Kenshin on the triple revive there. But they're about to be shot out of the air, and as I say that, C2 finds Kenshin. A rough one for Esports Putrajaya. And I see a couple of more players from their side getting tagged up as well. It could just be the circle doing a number on them, and Falcons out of nowhere. PE, what? How did we not see that?
Oh, that was unfortunate for PE. I think they were just focused on duck hunting and didn't know that Falcons were nearby. I was just about to point out that PE were the only team with double-digit eliminations, and that is 100% going to get overtaken by Falcons if they keep up this performance. But MBR are not that far behind. They got 7, and they are in quite the safe spot.
The ones who are far behind is still Vamos. 3 eliminations so far in the game, not looking like they're comfortable at all. It's crazy what they could do on the Esports World Cup stage a couple of times. They're nowhere close to that at this point of time right now. Onyx, big rotation round. MBR can punish, but they're a tad bit too busy on the other side of their compound. Onyx will have an easy one, and they set up their defenses and start taking shots up against MBR as well. Glue wall melted. Ice grenade will be tossed on in as well. The damage is done, and here comes the thrill of battle as well, locking in the players on the side of MBR. Onyx wants a fight, and they might just bring it to them once they can take these defenses on. They're trying to toss in the utilities to get the break on those glue walls first. But it looks like it's just a A124, a preemptive strike to make sure MBR doesn't run at them before they are ready.
The Falcons being behind Onyx is going to force them to make that rotation, and they will find some safety net here to avoid Falcons and making sure that MBR also can't really touch them until the circle closes in. The Falcons will now make their move. Porpor into the stealth bites to tag along his team. And no one actually knows where Falcons is at right now. This low ground actually gives them great cover against some of the teams in front of them, and Vamos will find out.
I just want to highlight again, that was a beautiful rotation from Onyx, just pelting down the team with all of those ice grenades and everything in their utility box, just so that they'll be distracted enough so they can take a better, safer spot for themselves on that rotation. And Onyx survives just because of that, and they will also have the grace of the movement for this next circle. Riptide Rhythm from afar, breaking down the defenses right in front of Buriram. Vamos taken out of the equation, and the players on the side of MBR falling one after the other to the players of Falcons. WAG shutting down Buriram, but the pickups are there. Tikui puts down Moshi, one after the other. They're dropped, picked right back up, but I feel like WAG's gotten the job done already. There's just no more recovery as Captain Jonah has to bail.
Look, someone gotta check Popor, man. He just got a twofer again. Finally, one of their members is knocked down, and that's gonna be Limit. But so far, Limit hasn't really been needed or required to show his 100% because Popor is going above and beyond for the team. And Falcons were in the worst possible spot. They were sandwiched by Vamos earlier on, but they made it out of that situation and now find themselves in the best possible spot as long as they can avoid Secret WAG.
Can Falcons go for a back-to-back booyah here? Shot from up top. WAG wants to personally make sure that does not happen. Limit taken out of the equation already, but the more dangerous Pawpaw is still alive and kicking. Can they get the pickup here? Yes, they can. 3-man strong for the side of Falcons, and all of those beefed-up blue walls are going to keep them safe for the time being. They're right behind Onyx here. Onyx understands that. It's all about the timing. WAG will catch Onyx as Onyx tries to get away from Falcons. Falcons force them out of the defense, and it's WAG that takes advantage.
Yeah, Falcons trying to split up and look for some high ground access, but they don't have the room for it. Before Pung went down, he actually knocked Nan down, so that will buy some time for Falcons, but it is still a 4v3 in favor of Secret WAG.
And it's all because Secret WAG took Limit out first. The preemptive strike nerfed the chances of Falcons from walking away with that booyah on this match for sure.
Taking their vehicle out. What is this play? Oh, they're redirecting. They're going to make it to the boulder behind and stay safe as well, but they let Popor there. It's Secret WAG. They might not know about this because the blue zone is preventing any entry, but he got spotted out by T-Quay. Great stuff checking the corner, and now the superstar is out.
Now 2 more players here on the side of Falcons. The 4 on the side of Secret WAG, pushing on forth. Wang Am with the God Nade, but on fire with the headshot. Trikui taken down already, but the instant pickup and the electrotherapy gets Falcons down on the ground. WAG just needs one more shot to connect, and it's Trikui that pulls the double. With 17 eliminations strong, it's Secret WAG, the reigning defending Southeast Asian champions, with the booyah.
Falcons made them work for it. They had to work extra hard. But again, it's the earlier preemptive strike that you mentioned. Removing Limit, checking their corners, sniffing out where Porpor was at, because that was the X factor. But still, for Falcons, an impressive ending to round 2. Still a consistent top 2 finish. Secret WAG, they had quite the slow start on their first day with I think less than 70 points, and this Booyah is going to push them close to that to the 100-point mark if they are not already there.
I think this is a great play from Secret WAG because it was one that was filled with aggression. It was one that was filled with a lot of the right decisions made. Luck, I can't say was on the outside each and every single moment of this game, but what was on the outside was the capability to make the right decisions so that they don't walk away with the victory instantaneously, but they set themselves up for victory later on, right? That was the preemptive strike onto Falcons. There's no way they could have calculated that. The dream was, the target was a simple one. Thin down as many numbers as possible on the squads opposite of them. And the execution was what it was all about. A little bit of luck mixed in there as well, because when Onyx was pushed out of the defense by Falcons, WAG was just literally in the right place at the right time to take a couple of extra points there.
And it's worth mentioning that for the second game in a row, Secret WAG were able to find the best, most optimal spot in the final circle. They did it in game 1. It was spoiled by PE Sports, who wanted a piece of that real estate. But game 2, they did the exact same thing. They placed themselves literally far away from conflict, and they watched everything go down while getting points through vouchering, through these third-party action. And this is going to be one of the biggest benefits that Secret WAG, it's going to carry them to victory. That's what allowed them to win Spring, and they haven't lost their touch at all.
Yes, it was a Secret WAG Booyah, but obviously Purple stealing away the thunder from them, walking away with 7 eliminations for the side of Falcons. But Tikui has got the exact same number here. I mean, this guy is a bad one out there on the battlefield when it comes to these duels, and bad in a very good way. 6 knockdowns, 6 assists, 2,958 on the damage. He was relentless with the Oscar, with the Valiant Dash. Had the Olivia as well, just in case they needed to top each other's health up. And as you can see, they run a double Olivia on their setup here alongside Ativa in the hands of Nan 7. This is Secret WAG just giving a lot of respect to the other teams there, understanding that survivability is a crucial aspect out there in a savage lobby like this.
And you need an enabler, and the enabler in this case is going to be Tikui, that ended up leading them to not only a Booyah but 28 big points. Falcons, though, still not that far behind. They themselves back 13 eliminations. That's 22 for them, 17 for Onyx. BRU coming alive with 16, and even for PE Sports and MBR Omega, they didn't do too poorly either, right? Most of these points came from them just winning those skirmishes.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And now we move on into the game standings here, where you see EVOS Divine and Bigatron by Vitality down at the very bottom. It's a tad bit unfortunate for them, but for the day standing, on the other hand, the question is Vamos sit down at the bottom? The answer is no. Vamos actually takes a small step up. It's EVOS now with the 12th spot. This is a problem. We need them to wake up, and Purgatory has to be the spot this happens for EVOS.
That is such an incredibly low bar to clear. And mind you guys, that's an average of 4 points per round for Vamos and an average of 2.5 points per round for EVOS, right? 2 rounds in, you don't get you're not double digits. If you're not 20 points in, you're in big trouble. And unfortunately for EVOS, they didn't really have the best start on their first play day. If today is what we're seeing right now, there's a good chance that EVOS ends up in the bottom 4 by the end of week 1.
We talk about an average of 2.5 points down at the bottom, whereas Falcons are sitting on an average of 22.5 on the average points at the top. I mean, brilliant for Falcons, right? That's 8 games in a row now where they have been bloody consistent. This is looking like the team to beat right now in Southeast Asia. Are they going to be able to continue with this exact same run for a little bit more? Well, they faced off against every single team available in Southeast Asia fall, and it looks like they are able to keep their rhythm up somehow, Aski.
Yeah, and I think
I know how.
I feel like I have an idea. Poor. He is going to be one to watch out for sure. If they they somehow win fall, I think we have a very convincing candidate for Finals MVP, and that's a big if.
They already won 2025 fall. They were runner-up in 2024. I feel like fall season just belongs to the Falcons, right? And it was the fall season. I mean, at the end of the day, the question is whether or not they are going to continue on with this rhythm. It looks like the past 8 games have shown exactly that. And Porpor has been on the run of his life. My only question is what's going to happen when Limit starts stepping up his gameplay out there as well? Because so far, it still looks like Falcons is trying to play some of these strategies out there that are probably not very conventional, like what you saw them do up against WAG in that final circle earlier on. Leaving Porpor behind, he kind of got caught out. But what if WAG had just made that rush, looking for the Falcons players, not checking the corners? What kind of damage would Porpor have been able to do? I think it would have been a legendary match if they could have pulled that off.
That'd be one of the greatest incognito play for sure. When we call back, I think on the day 2 performances on some of these teams, you look at Falcons, right? 137 total points from yesterday. But the more impressive thing is that they have gotten double-digit eliminations for 5 out of 6 games. And all the double-digit games were 15 and above. That is insane. 15 as the minimum and peaking out at 20 eliminations. That's why Falcons is one of the most feared teams. And then you look at EVOS in contrast. EVOS Divine, most of their points came from eliminations, but they only have 2 rounds with double digits. One with 17, the other one with 11, and those are the 2 rounds that they performed the best. The rest is, in the bottom 6 in terms of placement, except for game 3 where it was slightly slow. But the main point I'm getting at is that even on an average day, EVOS feels like they need to rely a lot on getting elims.
Yeah, here's a fun fact, right? But let's talk about your EVOS point first before I tell you the fun fact. A lot of the elims were coming from Russia. So without Russia on the squad, I did expect them to struggle. Yesterday, they kind of hung on for a little bit. But today, we're seeing a different version of themselves. I don't know if or not the Russia fans are just sending them extra negative energy and it's affecting the team right now. But whatever it is, they better figure it out because it's going to be tough. Now, the fun fact that I wanted to share with you was yesterday, Falcons had a 21.2 average points per match. Now, they are higher with a 22.5. So, yeah, that's a little problem. They just got a tad bit better.
Yeah, well, that's all for 6 games. 6 games, 21 almost 22 points average. But so far, 2 games in, 22.5. If by the end of this, they can maintain an average, man, Falcons are going to be a force to reckon with going into game 2. Yeah. Well, this prediction is this one is kind of iffy. I'm not going to lie. We got EVOS on one end, Twisted Minds on the other. Both teams with huge unproven potential. It's such an odd line to say, right? Because EVOS actually won EWC 2025, but there's more to be desired. Twisted Minds is one of the teams that felt like they've been robbed time and time again. Same position with AJL, but a slightly less refined version of AJL.
And that's why I appreciate having you on the desk, Husky, because you're not afraid to bet on a team that's not doing too great in the competition when it comes to some of these predictions. Because I kind of feel like Twisted Minds, they're just biding their time. They're just waiting for the right moment, the right map maybe, to pop off. And this could just be that map. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, as we hop on into game number 3, my eyes are locked onto 2 main teams, Buriram as well as EVOS, because these 2 giants just have not been doing it right so far.
The main thing that always makes me happy on Purgatory is to see Twisted Minds go straight for Mode House, which this time they don't, right? They actually stop in the middle, right on the west side of field. So going against what we sort of known from them for the past, 2 years, even back when they were reverse raid with Saming around, Mode House was their hideout. So let's see what Twisted Minds has cooked up, because On Fire is about to get chased by some MEC members.
I never knew cats made good parachutes. It's a fun thing to learn. Alif finding On Fire, Falcons.
What?
Rough start here, but Porpor again. Porpor again! Will be able to get the second player and gets to pick up this guy, MVP of a different nature altogether.
When was the last time we had such a breakout performance from a new player? I mean, we had Wasana back in, I think, back in the FFSI, and after that he joined BRU. Same era with Limit X7 and Saming, and then we had Pina, we had Tikui, Secret WAG, and now it's Porpor. We are going in full circle back to Thailand.
Yeah, so this Popov fella is not really new. Yesterday as well, I had the exact same thought. Like, is he really, really new? And then I go to see that he has been in the pro circuit for many years now. It's just that he's not really active. I wonder why, Husky, because this guy seems to be playing like a monster. He played with Falcons during the Free Fire Clash Masters in Thailand. He also played with Twisted Minds at one point, with JV Esports as well. So this is just the kind of this is why, man, some of these guys are just so good, but they're not even playing competitive seriously just yet. I wonder what will happen when they all get enticed to join us here, not just on the sea level, but on the global finals level. Maybe some more dream runs like what Lion just had could come through again.
I also have to take into consideration that you look at his track record, right? He could be, I think a big part of it, he was just the 5th member. So yeah, I think that's sort of the gauge for him. And so I would consider him one of the new bloods, but either way, he's making a name for himself. There's BTR looking for some redemption after quite the disappointing run on Solara, starting it off with 2 points for themselves, and BRU making big rotation already.
Did they get caught out here, Jonah? Too far away from the rest of his team members, but he's got a Kar 98 in hand. So, and there's been many demands for the Kar 98 to be taken out of competitive because it's an unfair gun. But if everybody can have the gun, it makes it a very fair gun, I think. Falcons finding Ezreal, and Jun from up top takes Porpor out of the equation, but he almost got that shot on point as well onto On Fire. The connection was there, but just no elimination from that attempt. And he'll quickly make the exit from the compound as well to keep the team alive, hoping to find a vending machine for himself.
The piece will leave the scene of the Indonesian derby. Full revive for Vamos. Prime making the cross to join his teammate and intercepted by Koja, who was waiting right out in the open. And there's no saving him. Now Poom is 100% gonna get sandwiched. He only has a charge buster in hand, so yeah, no chance winning this one. I don't think he got a revive off either, so Onyx down to 2.
Unfortunate. It's just so close. Bigatron by Vitality on the other hand. 6 eliminations already in hand. And it doesn't seem like they're going to be able to get their 7th one just yet as they quickly drive past an opportunity. Esports Putrajaya. They will be targeted here. Hit list purchased by the Buriram players. Jonah, Kar 98 in hand, looking for beautiful jump shot. And quickly repositions in as well. Jonah, one of the best players in the world for a good reason. Any weapon you give him, he'll find a way to master it.
Still one of the most decorated. Not one of the most, the most decorated.
The most, yes.
A successful captain that we've had. One of the longest standing pro players in the scene ever since he joined. That was like what, the Evo's Phoenix, Phoenix Force, and then now BRU. Probably has the highest stocks if we have a stock market for these players. Falcons finding the 6th here, trying to flush Team Vamos out of Central, and Vamos, yeah, they understand that this is not their game anymore. They're gonna get out of there.
Axel up top. Oh, beautiful shot there with the Woodpecker. Straight to the head. Takes Porpor out of the equation. The biggest threat in our eyes at this point of time. The best performing player on the side of Falcons shut down. And Pina will return the favor with a God nade from down below.
Falcons gets to slow the game down, but because they understood that they have full control over the southern side, they probably could explore a bit more. Ezreal, actually, there's the 10th Falcons, but it was a freebie onto Porpor.
Oi!
Limit.
One more?
You get the second one. Blue wall gets put up, but there's a vehicle coming in and On Fire here to finish the job.
Yeah, beautiful. Just dashes into the time turner, and Pina is there with a Mag 7. They should be able to... No, they can't pick their buddy up just yet. Porpor will expire. Bedep in a tough spot. PE Esports up against Bigatron by Vitality, and I don't think Bedep wants to take the fight. He gets the double revive. Narrow LBT brought back into the game here. Koja on the hunt, looking for the player. M24 in the hands of Bedep. Allows Koja to make the purchase. Does it step out of the defenses just yet? Sibeng making the purchase right under Bedep's nose. Bedep sees this. Bedep hears this. And he chooses to do nothing about it because of the overwhelming presence of the players on the side of Bigatron by Vitality right in front of him. But will Bedep do anything at all as they try to exit the compound?
Whenever you come under severe duress, just ask yourself this question: what will Bedap do? He held his breath for the longest of time, and I think he's safe. He is in the clear. BTR out of that compound, and PE Esports gets another chance. Can't say the same for Esports Putrajaya as they are about to encounter BRU. Wasana right onto the high ground. And just great instincts to find Raja out in the open. Time turner drop and another glue wall, but a flank from Getna confirms that. And 7 points for BRU.
A beautiful response by Raja though in that situation. I feel like mechanically he did the right things. Just unfortunate he had to go up against 2 players. There was a 1v1. There's a potential there that Raja could have handled Wasana on his own. And that's a great big respect to give the one and only Malaysian superstar who has been in the pro circuit for a long time, Raja. Look at about Vitality on the double revive as their players make their way back in.
And there were some, questions about what is the champion bundle, and on your screen this is the Buriram champion bundle. It's coming out soon though, so keep your eyes peeled for this because the cosmetics look great. Hoja not looking that great as LBD pumps it full of lead. Now it's Kyong in a 1v1, but LBT coming online and Kyong decides to completely surrender that fight. Doesn't want to take that 50-50, but LBT, he's not going to give out on this. 2 good shots will do it. That's the first one missed, second connect, but Kyong has enough just to get out. Bobs and weaves around the corner. That's expert driving.
Yeah, that's just punching the air, not in success, but just out of pure furiousness as he could not get the job done. But they're driving right back at him. Sorry, you wanted a fight? They ask LBT and they bring the fight straight to his tent. Beautiful stuff out of Bigatron.
I brought my friends. Where are yours?
Wait, bro. You want to fight? We'll show you a fight. That's unfair, bro.
Primary school technique sometimes still works, the good old technique of bringing more friends. You can't win the 1v1, make it a 2v1. And in this case, it's a 4v2 as the members of Secret WAG double of what Twisted Minds has in the front line that will allow them to get the initial knockdowns. And Twisted Minds quickly realizes that this is not their fight anymore. Diamond cannot get out of there, and Exposy forced to run away on foot.
Oh my god.
The elimination. Twisted Minds wiped out in 12th.
Yeah, but a very good play off of Secret WAG. That was lethal, that was precise. They executed it with perfection. And now Falcons driving straight into their compound. The fight is not over for Secret WAG just yet. They just managed to loot up their opponent's Twisted Minds. But can they shut down Falcons? Limit X7, Car 98, up close and personal takes Wangam out of the equation. Tikui can't run away anywhere just yet. You also saw Popo up on top of the hill. So that's going to be a big danger for WAG as they try to exit this compound.
Pina taking out one of the spear of Secret WAG. Pina does it again. PLS1 able to find the exchange there, but Falcons are not backing down. It's Pawpaw to fill in the void. Pina will perish though, thanks to the Raphael of PLS1. So Falcons not entirely out in the clear. They did have to suffer 1 casualty, but in the grand scheme of things, they are the ones that came out on top.
And that's all because they left Pawpaw up on the hill all on his own. We usually see that position taken by Limit, but Limit's just not hitting those great shots and covering the squad as much. And they've swapped that role out, and Pawpaw now is in charge of covering the squad, and you can clearly see he's getting the job done. Vitality will lose Virus here. Just to a knockdown first. No eliminations as the... Sibeng stolen away. EVOS through Coach Hill's actions have gotten an extra point for themselves. And Twisted Minds is the only team out of the equation so far.
A lot of responsibilities on Virus's shoulder as he needs to take care of the top floor of the building. They see him plant the turret earlier on. Azrael off screen, popped by Fantasy. Look at the bigger picture here. BRU, they will leave Jonah behind just in case there are teams to make late rotation, but the other 3 have already secured a clear rotation path. And BRU actually have a high ground advantage as well, and giving them a good chance to catch Onyx Olympus on the rotation, and Moshi is keeping an eye on them.
The pace has been slowed down here. For a good reason, it's Purgatory, so as the circles get a tad bit smaller. We still have a lot of compound to kind of mess around with. So Buriram not in a rush at all, especially because they've got a very good spot in this next circle. High ground with the dip in elevation of that hill as well to give them a little bit of cover if they feel like they don't want to take a fight. Now Por right back into the fight here together with the rest of his squad. PLS1 dropping back into the game. I think spotted out by Falcons. No shots taken just yet. Falcons going to focus on their rotation. Esports Putrajaya will try to play their luck, but it seems like their luck still has not recovered just yet. The WAG players will survive.
Let's see if both the Malaysian teams can stop Falcons in their tracks, because we are looking at 17 eliminations already. And we literally just talked about them having an average of 15, at least a minimum of 15 eliminations on their first day. 5 out of 6 rounds having double digits, with the lowest being 15. That is an insane feat, insane consistency that they've displayed. And now hitting 17 with 11 teams left in the lobby, AJ? What is Falcons on, man?
Just chaos, bro. Just absolute chaos about to break in here. And, you know, it's a good kind of chaos, because this chaos might be just the kind of disaster that's required to take Falcons out of the equation. Because when they're cool, calm, collected, not a lot of pressure, I think they're just way too dangerous for the other teams to deal with. Maybe a little bit of distraction can help. WAG, unfortunately, does not get to enter the circle. 8 kept to their doom. LBT, beautiful value dash finds Axel! And the rest of the Wamos players are just scrambling, running away from him. LBT still alive. How can that happen? Narrow with the follow-up on the MAC-10. Vamos took no shots and they all perish in the hands of PE.
Clearly unprepared for what PE has in store. LBT completely just body slammed them with the Valiant Dash. And I said, no resistance at all. Let's see if Esports Putrajaya can set the balance right. Just gotta start thinning out some of the numbers, because in the best case scenario, I think Falcons have a chance to actually break the world record set by Lion, sitting at 45 points. But with the amount of bodies on the map and Falcons racking out so much elims, last we checked, they were at 18. They just need 33. Actually, no, 34 and a Booyah, and they've broken the record.
There's a Pikachu body slam and there is a Snorlax body slam. LBT just whipped out the Snorlax body slam, but problem is, now the circle's going to do a number on them. Coach Heal, EVOS, keeping an eye on the players on the side of PE Sports. There's a big chance they all perish here. PE great on that play, but not a lot of numbers now on their side. MBR, on the other hand, stuck in a tight little corner, looking to see if or not they can engage with the Onyx players. They break down their own defenses, and now they're inside of the zone. Esports Putrajaya taken out as well. The chaos has ensued. And look at Falcons avoiding a majority of that chaos. Just taking on a small fish in Mark now.
The Popor is actually down, and they can't get to him just yet, so the rest of Falcons will have to somehow wiggle their way out of this. But by getting rid of Getbu, Limit finds an opening in to get Popo back up on his feet. Now they have to survive the blue. Like earlier on, Esports Putrajaya, actually the whole team, I believe, drowned. So really makes you wonder what the rotation idea was. The same happened to Onyx Olympus. But Falcons now get to gatekeep the rotation, the escape route of Magna. Jans actually tried to fight this. Are you insane? Because Pina got that one. Virus was able to get 2 in return on Fire and Pina on the ground, but Alib will have to do everything on his own. Finds Popor, but ends up getting wiped out anyways.
There's a big play there. You thought it was a small fish, and the small fish just happened to be a big shark. Actually, they're quite, the
piranhas.
opposite. They are... No, in fact, a different species altogether. They're cats. They're big cats. But it's okay. We'll talk about that later. Falcons out, finally. No supercharged game for them, but there's nothing that they cannot recover from later on. Buriram still alive and kicking, looking for the points. Riptide Rhythm sent out, but it breaks down the defenses a tad bit too slow here, allowing still MBR to find the recovery behind their time turner. It was that A124 that locked them down first. Question is, where did the thrill of battle come from? Because we didn't see the MBR players pop that earlier on. And now the counterplay for them is just to try to break down the defenses of Buriram, but they're not really aggressive on fourth. MBR knows they want the next circle and they have to focus on the rotations first.
Yeah, one of the few rounds, the rare circumstances where no team have control of the circle at all, because they were basically all centered around in the middle. But with the top 2 teams already out from this lobby, it is high time for teams like PE, for BRU to catch up in points. And for MBR, they will have to face the music of BRU.
Let's see those glue wall melters. Again, time turner. Maybe too premature this time around. Buriram. This is their rechal up against MBR, and the follow-up from Moshi after the Riptide rhythm was perfect on that AWM. Wasana in the thick of the action, running behind enemy lines, fighting Rafaela as well alongside Getna. But they need this instant pickup right here, right now. Wasana down on the ground. They do have the electrotherapy available on their side, and Wasana will quickly recover after that pickup. Getna gets to him quick enough, and Buriram continue their rotation towards this next zone.
Part of me thought that they would actually go from the low ground, but no, they're gonna charge right up and take out Onyx as well. As only Poom was left, Evos now have to make that rotation, but it's a bit late, so they will sustain some damage from the blue. Have to run straight into BTR. PE out in the open, and BRU controls the circle.
Evos still alive and kicking. Come on, Evos. But nah, don't do it. Put it up. They are my prediction. They do have the M79. Use it. Nah, they perished before they could. And now put it up with the numbers advantage. It's a 4v2. LPT, can you pull another Snorlax body slam? Moshi says, don't you even dream. C1 down. Getna finds LPT. And Buriram finally with a booyah on this second day of play.
Much needed booyah. Much needed restoration in confidence. As they blow the whistle and pull out the red card onto PE Esports for playing dirty. And BRU, 20 eliminations and the booyah, 32 big points. And that should be sufficient for them to make it into top 4 at least. And last we checked, WAG has 55 points, but they did get wiped out very early on. So BRU, plenty of opportunity to now be a part of that list.
On the first day of play for Buriram, they barely got much from their lobbies. 65 points in totality from their play. 21 points was the maximum number of points they managed to get from a Solara map. Apart from that, they were all subpar matches when you look at the quality that Buriram can usually bring into lobbies like this. And this is their very first booyah in their fall season. Quite slow for a brand like Buriram.
Last time when Buriram had sort of like the most amount of booyahs, it was more than a year ago, but they still currently hold the record for the most booyah in a single play day. 5 out of 6. It has not been replicated by any other team. I think Falcons came pretty close to that, but that record pales in comparison to what other teams have done since then. BRU, now I think the focus is not about the booyah, it's just refining that mid to late game, which when they get control of, they are one of the most solid teams.
Buriram's one of those teams that probably just force the hands of the developers to think that, okay, you know what, we need to switch things up. We need to drastically mend the meta of the game because these guys have mastered the game already. But every time you mend the ways of the game, every time you tweak that meta, somehow or other, Buriram finds a way to catch right back up. Regardless of the situation, they're able to mold themselves to fit that situation. And the best one to do that is Captain Jonah. This guy, the most decorated Free Fire esports player for a good reason.
The fact that after Paris, there were whispers out there, people thinking that, or at least, you know, assuming that maybe it's time for Jonah to take that backseat. Nah, I think he's not done just yet. He still hasn't filled that cabinet with the last piece of the puzzle, which will only be possible in the coming year. But who's to say that he's not here and to win the fall season and then his 4th world trophy. BRU, they have plenty of time to restructure for the rest of 2026. This booyah proves to us that they still got what it takes.
And Moshi, one of the highest eliminators of this lobby, getting a total of 7 elims this time round. And it was a fantastic run in the grand scheme of things for the squad of Buriram. 8 eliminations just between Captain Jonah as well as Wasana. Getna bringing in 5. And what's crazy about Getna is he is your support player. He's your backup. And even when your support is hitting numbers like Getna, you know your team is going to be on a roll. He had the electrotherapy, he had the Olivia and the Thiva. His main role out there is to pick up and to help the squad recover, but he goes beyond the call of his duty all the time.
Remember if you watch like any wartime movies or shows, usually the field medic is just focused on healing injured soldiers. Not Getna, he is the field medic, and he has a shotgun in his hand. Like he brings in the AK as well. He can fight. It was in hard times when Wasana wasn't on form, when Jonah was struggling, Getna was the clutch factor that pulled BRU through some of the toughest situations in the games that we've seen them play in.
So it's crazy that you have got Jonah running a full active-passive combination for a sniper, and it is Moshi that kind of skews off a little bit, bringing in the Suzy on his side just so that he can purchase more for the squad, most probably running a tactical market on himself as well. A double snipe perfection in terms of a setup here for Buriram, and I feel like they have got their rhythm finally already. Whatever they were experimenting with seems to be falling into place once again, and 32 points is massive. But look at Falcons. We talked about how today their average points have been 22.5. They just got 25 points. So they're still above their average.
Yep, 25 points, puts them at 80 points. I mean, their eliminations is more than double of the placement points that they have, right? You compare that to BRU and WAG, where the average, the differences between their elims and placement points are usually a lot closer. BRU, like we said, they should be able to catch up the top three, and they just barely squeeze themselves into third place. PE Sports make in fourth, and followed by BTR and Onyx. So the cutoff point right now is 30 points for today if we talk about the top six. But I gotta say, Esports Putrajaya and MEC, they aren't doing too bad on the game standings, but in the overall standings, we are still at the bottom.
Yeah, hold up, man. I was glazing Buriram so much, I totally forgot to glaze Falcons as well, right? These guys got taken out of the lobby prematurely. Falcons only had 4 placement points, and they got 21 eliminations to make sure their averages don't get messed up with. And now, after 3 games, Falcons are sitting on 80 points. If they continue on this trajectory, they're definitely going to be the team with the highest number of points collected in a day. They're going to set the record. In fact, they're going to break the record first that AJAL set on day 1, and then they're going to set their own record with 160. But of course, achieving what they've already achieved is actually asking for a lot, Husky.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, right? AJAL, they closed out their first week with 248 points. Falcons got more than 50% of that on their first day with 137 points. 37. Very, very good chance by the end of today, they're going to make first place. So yeah, good on you, Falcons. Just another day in the office, right? Keeping the average high.
I mean, not only is the average high, I feel like they are closer than ever, right? Because if you look at the difference in terms of points now, they're about 32 points from catching up with AGAL. And if they have gotten 80 points out of 3 games, getting another 30 in the remaining 33 games is just not an impossible factor for Falcons at all. So whether or not they break the record of AGAL, they'll definitely take the number 1 spot away from them if they continue to do what they're doing. But it doesn't seem like Falcons is capable of dropping the ball right now, because I think everything that they have been practicing and perfecting so far is working out perfectly for them. And the one time where we saw Paw get taken down a tad bit too early, we didn't see the team survive long enough into the lobby. But still, to get eliminated at that point with 21 eliminations is just ridiculous, Husky.
Yeah, there were attempts being made, right? When Paw goes down, Limit has to put on his boxing gloves and really, get down and dirty again. We see him really step in to bring Paw back up on his feet. But Falcons, even in the previous seasons when they had games where they get knocked out early, they always make sure that the eliminations made up for it.
Absolutely, man. And of course, if we have a interview in a little bit, you know exactly who it's going to be with already, right? Guys, you guys know, right? It's going to be with Secret WAG. I can't wait because you guys get to see Yunsul once again. I can't wait because you guys get to see Yunsul. Yeah, I definitely said that one right. So, AGAL, great domination, 2 days of play. Falcons trying to prove to the world that that was absolutely nothing. Buriram on the way back in here. I think that was a fantastic game that they just showed us. We also called out the Malaysian squads. We asked for them to wake up in the competition, Husky. And I feel like they're kind of delivering. But when I say the Malaysian squads, I'm not including Vamos in that list.
Yeah, I agree with that, right? And it was something that I did slightly touched on. It was from that game standing itself, it was Esports Putrajaya and Magna that actually had an average game. And then Team Vamos, again, still no signs of life at all.
I guess the disappointments from the Esports World Cup lingering a little bit too long, but I think the boys need to kind of just shake it off and step it up a tad bit out there, right? Has always been the challenge for the Malaysians to kind of just shake off some of those negative vibes and just start afresh when a brand new competition starts. They kind of carry on some baggage from the previous competitions. You don't see a lot of these other teams kind of do that. If you look at the Vietnamese teams, especially Husky, regardless of whatever kind of loss they face in one season, they're back like a monster in the next one.
Yeah, if you want to talk about baggages, if Vietnamese team, they know that quite literally to the bone, right? 2024, 2025, and then the recently concluded EWC was actually their worst showing because Secret WAG didn't even make grand finals. And then last year, we didn't even have a team from the region. But then prior to Paris, they won Clash Squad, Esports did it, and then Secret WAG closed out the first half with a spring victory. So there are some sort of fight back. And with Secret WAG right now, I believe is the most scrutinized team in Vietnam. Everyone is looking at them, and I can only imagine the amount of pressure that the players are facing.
Well, they are facing the pressure. Let's see how they deal with that pressure in a little bit as well, because the pressure is about to get amped up a tad bit more. The pressure that they feel on the battlefield cannot be compared to the pressure of being interviewed by Yun Sol. You guys will definitely enjoy that segment in a little bit. But of course, with Buriram finding this game as their recovery, I feel like they've made up for the mess in Bermuda where they could barely pull away points, only that one placement point that they got for themselves. But will this continue? We'll have to wait and see. What does Yun Sul do in terms of shooting down the players of Secret WAG with questions? We'll find out right now.
Survivors, welcome to our interview sections after the match. I'm Yusul and please welcome PLS1 from Secret WAG. Xin chào các bạn khán giả đã đến với phần phỏng vấn của Yusul cùng với tuyển thủ PLS1 đến từ Secret WAG. Vậy thì ngay bây giờ chúng ta hãy cùng bắt đầu ngay với câu hỏi đầu tiên thôi nhé. For the daily challenge, do you think Vietnam can come out on top today? Thì đối với cái thử thách ngày hôm nay của chúng mình, rằng là đây sẽ là một cái thử thách mang tên niềm tự hào của khu vực. Thì khu vực nào đứng đầu ở trong bảng xếp hạng ngày hôm nay sẽ là khu vực chiến thắng. Và đội tuyển đó có quyền chọn ra một đội tuyển thua cuộc trong tất cả các khu vực còn lại. Và đội tuyển thua cuộc sẽ phải cúi đầu trước đội tuyển chiến thắng, như là một người đang cúi đầu trước một ngài vua vậy đó. Vậy thì em nghĩ rằng là Việt Nam ngày hôm nay có thể giành được cái chiến thắng đó hay không?
Em nghĩ là Việt Nam hôm nay thì chắc chắn sẽ được luôn.
For me, I am 100% confident that Vietnam, us can do that. We can be the winner of this challenge. Very confident. I love this. Okay, into our second questions. As the defending champions, which region you guys can see that is your biggest threat? Thì là một người đang bảo vệ cái ngai vàng vô địch của tụi mình thì không biết là PLS1 nghĩ rằng khu vực nào đang là khu vực mà em cảm thấy là có cái mối đe dọa nguy hiểm nhất ạ?
Thật ra thì đến với giải lần này là em và đội em chắc cũng không quan tâm lắm tới 17 team còn lại đâu. Tụi em chỉ quan tâm là bọn em có thể nào mà quên đi chiếc vô địch cũ để mình có thể làm điều đó thêm một lần nữa hay không thôi.
Wow. Actually, for all of us in the Secret WAG, we don't really care for the rest of the 7 teams. We only care one thing, that can we, Secret WAG, forget about the past, which is our championship in the previous season in the SEA, so we can redo a new memory of this. So we want to create another champions. That is the only thing we care about. And okay, so our third question is going to be a little bit fun. Okay, so since we have this, I think that you guys are on a race in the team of the day with Team Falcons, if I remember. So do you think that you can have that achievements today and block that way of Team Falcons? Because it looks like they're a little bit better day by days now. Thì ngày hôm nay là Yusu có thể thấy được là mọi người đang tham gia một cái cuộc đua Team Off ở đây cùng với Team Falcons. Nó cũng khá là sát nút rồi. Thì PLS1 nghĩ rằng là mình có thể chiến thắng được họ không? Bởi vì ngày hôm nay họ và cả hôm qua họ thi đấu cũng rất là thăng hoa ạ.
Thì nhìn bảng xếp hạng sau 3 game thì bọn em đang thua hình như là 20 mấy, gần 30 á. Mà nói chung còn 3 game thì vẫn chưa biết điều gì xảy ra, bọn em sẽ có khá sức.
So we have checked our ranking boards. It seems to be like we are losing Team Falcons about 20 or 30 points, but we still have 3 more games So we are not sure what is going to happen next, but we will try our best. Cảm ơn các bạn khán giả rất là nhiều vì đã lắng nghe màn phỏng vấn của Yusun cùng với Pele S1 đến từ Secret WEG, và hy vọng rằng là Secret WEG cũng như là PE Esports sẽ cháy hết mình ở trong 3 game thi đấu còn lại. Mọi người hãy bình luận thêm để ủng hộ và tiếp lửa thêm cho các bạn của chúng ta nhé. Thank you so much for your listening. And now let's head back to our casters.
Thank you very much. Phenomenal ballistics breakdown there by Yun Su, and PLS1 also came in lock and loaded. Yes, fear of the unknown. They aren't sure if they can catch up to Falcons, but they sure as hell will try. And that was the spirit that got them that spring trophy and a ticket to Paris. And I'm excited to see, Secret WAG pull it back, because we did saw the first 2 rounds. They read the circle perfectly, and that got them a great head start. Points. Game 3, a bit shaky, but if they can find that game 1-2 mojo back, I think the second half would be just as smooth.
Yeah, either they pull it back or they pull an Onyx Olympus honors, and they'll just have to try in the coming seasons, right? But of course, I never expected Secret WAG to win the competition in the manner that they did, because it was phenomenal, it was unbelievable, it was crazy, but they got the job done. Can they do it again? That's besides the point. Can they catch up with Falcons? That's definitely going to be the main story of the day. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I'm going to be taking a break for the day. Cribs will be taking my spot as he continues on for the final 3 games with Husky. We'll catch you guys after a quick short break. Don't you go anywhere.
This might be their first ever international tournament, but day 2 is for sure their stage to shine and explode.
ก็ทัวร์นาเมนต์อันนี้ก็ชนะเล็กๆน้อยๆครับเป้าหมายใหญ่กว่านี้ครับไม่ใช่แค่นี้ครับก็สัปดาห์นี้ครับวอร์มสนามครับสัปดาห์หน้าเดี๋ยวเจอกันครับ
None of these regions wants to go down too soon. For the name of the flag, hustling in the battle of regions.
Dalam week 1 saya rasa saya nak kalahkan tim Onyx sebab dia ada player yang baru dan saya cuba untuk bantai dia. After week 1, everyone will realize that team Vamos is back.
Gửi là nhắn nhủ tới Esports là không có Rakia thì mong họ phải chuẩn bị thật kỹ để đối đầu với FFWS. Khi đối đầu với FFWS thì mấy bạn lên cẩn thận, bởi vì bọn mình là những đứa trẻ tinh nghịch.
Buat region lain ya jangan pernah anggap remeh Indonesia. Kita bakal kasih tahu kalau Indonesia juga kuat. Kalau buat target sih saat ini kita belum ada ya. Kita masih fokus sama tim kita sendiri. Kita masih bisa dibilang baru lah. Ada player baru kan, masih banyak kurangnya. Jadi kita benar-benar buat tim sendiri dulu. Kalau buat tim lain nanti aja.
ผมว่าเป็นผลลัพธ์ที่ดีนะครับเพราะทีมไทยแข็งแกร่งกว่าทีมอื่นอยู่แล้วมีความกังวลครับแต่สู้ได้ครับยังพอไหวอยู่ครับพวกเราจะโฟกัสการเล่นของพวกเราครับให้เยอะขึ้นกว่าเดิมครับ
The thrive is real. Some territory has been claimed, but yet the battles of regions continue. Which regions will climb up to the highest rank?
Họ nói chúng tôi chỉ chiến thắng nhờ một kỳ tích. Chúng tôi đã nghe đủ một lời hoài nghi. Giờ là lúc chứng minh đó chưa bao giờ là may mắn mà là thực lực của chúng tôi.
Kami berjuang untuk mengukir nama di pentas dunia. Kini, kami di sini untuk membuktikan bahawa kami setara dengan yang terbaik.
เขาบอกว่ายุคของเรามันจบลงแล้วแต่ตำนานไม่ได้วัดกันที่อดีตมันวัดกันที่ก้าวต่อไปต่างหาก
Menjadi juara dunia memang pernah membawa kami ke puncak, tapi kegagalan selalu membayangi. Kini kami siap berjuang kembali.
Different stories, different regions, one ambition. Because greatness belongs to those who push beyond all limits.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Free Fire World Series Southeast Asia Fall Season 2026. It is week 1, day number 3, and we are in the second half of Group A versus C. You're still here with me, Husky, but instead of Stasho AJ, I got a good friend with me. It's going to be Crips for game 4 to 6.
Yeah, it's been a phenomenal day so far, Husky. I was thoroughly entertained with Falcons and everything that they're doing to stay on the top. In fact, I think it's going to be pretty soon that they can even overtake AG Global and take that top spot in the overall rankings too. I mean, yeah, sure, they dominated the first 2 games. They were in the top 2 teams. They even won the Booyah. But I thought, okay, maybe in the 3rd game, finally someone can take them down. And even when they went down earlier than expected, they went down swinging, bro. 20 eliminations in almost every single game. It seems like the Falcons show so far.
Yeah, the Falcons show has not really left the local scene even on their darkest days. And now with you here, I think it's a very good time for me to answer one of the biggest discussions ever since the season started for both FFMIC and FFWS SEA. There were people asking, which lobby is a lot more competitive between these two. I gotta say, I'm siding with Southeast Asia. I think the testament to that is, the team like Evo's Divine now at the very bottom. BRU can have very poor starts today. It really shows us that this lobby is ever evolving.
I don't think that question was even valid to begin with, because there's a massive difference between the SEA lobby right now and the region that I hail from. There's still quite a lot of skill disparity. I mean, we saw some impressive performances from the Indian teams and EWC, but there's still quite a long way for them to go to catch up to the rest of the Southeast Asian teams, and I have no shame in admitting that, because I mean, the caliber of the lobby is just that much better. If the 3-time world champion Buriram United are struggling so much, it kind of tells you how difficult it is to survive in a lobby like this. And yes, Buriram managed to win the Booyah, massive game for them in the 3rd map. Cool, but they still faltered in the first 2 games, which kind of tells you really can't take anything for granted. Even if you're the 3-time world champion, you can still be taken down, and you cannot afford to look out or overlook any other threats.
Yeah, even when we look at, I think, the recently concluded Esports World Cup in Paris, on the global stage, right? Latin America won their very first international trophy ever after 7 years of asking for that. And then even previously, Brazil were back-to-back global final champion in 2023 and 2024. The rest of the world is catching up. And I'm excited for the Indian scene to eventually be a part of that as well. But right now, the conversation at hand is Falcons going to stay on the top by the end of today? Is Secret WAG going to close the gap? And has BRU truly started their engines to make a comeback, or is Game 3 just a one-time thing?
I really hope it's not a one-time thing. A lot of teams are looking forward to seeing BRU dominate. I'm sorry, a lot of people are looking forward to seeing BRU dominate. Of course, all the other teams will definitely not want that. That being said, though, I'm loving this little back and forth chase between Secret WAG as well as Team Falcons. In the first two games, they both were the ones who were in the top two. And in those first two games, if they continue dominating, then I think even Nextera belongs to these two teams. I want to see if anyone else can actually have a say in the Nextera map today, because even in Bermuda, when we saw Falcons not having the circle advantage, they were at the bottom of the mountain and Secret WHG controlled the entire circle. Falcons still found a way to win by capitalizing on PE Sports. They basically piggybacked on PE Sports' success, and they used that to turn the game around. And then once again in Solara, Secret WHG consistently manages to get the best spot in the circle somehow in both Bermuda as well as Solara. But this time Falcons were not able to overpower them in the second one. And obviously in the third game, it was just the Buriram show. So these teams have spoken out loud and they just seem to be performing consistently. But there are 9 more teams, right? I'm yet to see somebody else dominate the circuit.
Yeah, I think the last time we had any domination was during the BRU era, and that was like 2-3 years ago. But we do have a substitution for Onyx Olympus. We bring in Putra, and Demons will sit out at least for game 4. Whether it is for the rest of the second half, that remains to be seen. But Onyx is a team that since I believe 2025 EWC. Well, they won Spring in 2025 and then they went on to EWC and they didn't really do well in Riyadh. But ever since then, a big piece of what defined Onyx Olympus has been lost, and they're still trying to recalibrate what they are. But the regional pride still leans towards the ties. Falcons, of course, being the representative right now with 80 points, followed by Secret WAG with 55 in second. So that's a 25 point of difference, as mentioned by PLS1 in the earlier interview.
Yeah, and PLS1 does seem to be quite humble in the interview. I hope that he can find that confidence in-game as well, because they've been dominating in-game. Maybe it's just his personality, because I've not really seen much of his interviews, but all that humility does not match their personality in the game. Secret WAG have been aggressively going for all the most highly sought-after compounds and getting that area under their control. And even after having the best possible places in the circle, they don't always manage to convert it. Falcons, on the other hand, it doesn't matter if they have the best possible compounds or not, they always seem to be dominant with their eliminations. And that's why I'm not surprised that both of us have picked up Falcons as our prediction for this game.
I would pick Falcons all the way if I can, but obviously with such a ever-changing lobby, even Falcons aren't always at the top, even though the points say otherwise. So let's see if Nextera is going to be any different, because Nextera is one of the funkier maps that we have in the competitive pool, and it is also a map where teams who are struggling like Esports or even Team Vamos to a certain degree can make a surprise comeback, and that is on the condition that they have found some composure during that short break we had.
Yep, and keep in mind that it's not just the top spot of the table that's on the line today, it's regional pride that's on the line today. Stick around till the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, because you're bound to see some very entertaining segments when the winner of today will get to choose a little punishment for the losing regions. But let's see whether those winners will be determined in the first few minutes of the game or not, because I am seeing a potential drop clash headed towards Decker Square. P Esports as well as Esports Putrajaya landing very close to each other. And also, you've got Magna Esports Club and Falcons potentially clashing against each other over here.
Gepu actually with a Mac 10 somehow was able to spray some damage onto On Fire, even though Limit is right in front of him. They do have the Oscar Cassie combo, a classic one. The Riptide Rhythm though prevents any sort of an immediate push. Good coverage from Team Falcons, but they still need to find a way to bail Limit out of this.
Yeah, Limit is just staring daggers at Elif and Getbu. He's making sure that his teammates always have lines of sight on him so they can provide some overwatch while he closes in the distance. They're just looking for a little bit of a knock, maybe an opportunity so that Limit X7 can go full sending in. That's his cue. Plenty of damage dealt onto Alif and Getbu, but Getbu actually manages to get behind the sandbags, and that is going to be a little bit of a stalemate for now. Meanwhile, at Grab Labs, you got EVOS versus Vamos Esports, and Ezreal draws first blood.
And I always have this firm belief that teams who are willing to drop at Grab Labs, especially hot drop at Grab Labs, are teams who have no regard for a dice roll, right? Because the Grab Labs, if you drop them in Grab Labs and you try to start an early fight, not everything, all cards are off the table, right? Especially when you fight in the internal structure where there's very low gravity, the Vamos need to find a way to wriggle out of this spot. MBR arriving at the scene.
Yeah, the team that Vamos were initially fighting have escaped. So now they have a new opponent, and that's going to be Magna Esports. I'm sorry, that's going to be MBR. Good knock by Bara. Plenty of cover provided by Rafila as well from the high ground, but they still need to find a way to convert those knocks into eliminations. And while we are talking about this fight, Esports Putrajaya bite the dust. They become the first team to get eliminated from this game.
Incredibly early exit for one of the Malaysian teams. Can't say Magna also about to face the same fate potentially, right? Because they are still exchanging fire with Falcons off screen. Random fires from Evo's Divine arriving at Graph Lab's roof as Team Vamos relocate, but MBR still on the hunt, and that glue wall gives them a very good indicator that there are some Vamos members hiding.
And MBR now looking to isolate Zeus and Israel. Flash faces right on top of them, nades being thrown, being rained upon them, and here comes the dash. Zeus taken out, no retaliation from Vamos Esports as MBR continue to dominate this battle, but their third lurker, Rafaela, the guy who was on the high ground providing cover fire from afar, has just been taken down by Evo's Divine. So MBR need to quickly lick their wounds, recalibrate from this loss, and prepare for the incoming third party.
They even use the binoculars to scan as well. They could be from MBR to figure out where Faiz was, or it could be Faiz trying to determine how many MBR members are nearby. The isolated June found out by both Getna and Wasana. That will be BRU's first point. Again, Graph Labs, very volatile area to fight in. Vamos are paying a big price.
Yeah, I mean, they lost a couple of their members to MBR. Now their third player, who was supposed to be the insurance policy, goes down to Buriram. It seems like all the odds are stacked against them. And Buriram figured out that this guy from Vamos was running away from Grab Labs. There's definitely 2 teams fighting over there. But what they don't know is that there's 3 teams already, and they are the potential 4th party, because even PE Sports have entered the fight. Moshi misses the shot up close. Fez wins that battle with the Max 7. And here comes the backup from Vasana. Instant res onto Moshi, and Buriram are back at full strength.
Moshi will need some time to patch himself back up. PE Sports and MB are still fighting on that low ground. That will be a tag, I believe. One of the MBR players down is Rafaela. So Getna will go in for the confirmation. That will be PRU's 4th point. And that should clear up Graph Labs for now, as stragglers from EVOS and PE Sports are just out in the wild. Aim God finds an ambush there. LBT gets a knuckle sandwich. And EVOS finds their 4th.
This could be a fair 2v2 fight. In God fighting with depth, gets caught off guard, puts up a glue wall just to save his skin in the nick of time. Abax comes through with the backup, but Aim God gets sprayed down by Nero regardless, and Bidep also wins his duel. Meanwhile, EVOS, the players on the other end of the map, are also losing their lives. No matter where they are, no matter whether they're alone or they've got backup, EVOS seems to be struggling down to their last player.
So Abax getting taken down, that was him losing a gunfight, but Aim God? What? Bit of a questionable decision making there. EVOS feeding 3 members into the meat grinder, but thankfully you have Fires to still keep the run alive. A rest Suez by Jun as Axel cashes in on a PE Sports member, and Secret WAG finding Deeks out in the open. Is Nan with his Trogon to give them another point.
All right. Secret WAG getting all their fights without any problem so far. They're even isolating all these battles. No matter who they're up against, they don't seem to be losing any members. So they don't even need to go for any reses. And right now, poor Koja kinda isolated. His teammates are flying in to help him out, but will they arrive in time? Because Koja seems to be holding his ground for now. Plenty of damage dealt onto Nun. But they're all managing to cross that distance, cross that treacherous gap by covering in the glue walls. Koja jumps down, full committing to the battle, but Ron gets the better of him.
What was... Well, I mean, a Hail Mary attempt, I believe, from Koja. At least he tried, but Secret WAG, a tight-knit circle. And that should free them up in that vicinity. Twisted Minds rotating in. Quite the no-show on game 3, but they should be able to handle Fantasy, who is alone. Jump and the Bass, always sticking together side by side. And Twisted Minds should slowly gain control of Decker Square. MBR, I don't think they want to be around here.
Yeah, but MBR are more than happy to pick up these isolated fights where they have the numbers advantage in every single situation. Right now, though, MBR might just be biting off a bit more than they can chew because Jokers is heading towards that vending machine, but he's going to get capped by Twisted Minds, and the Bass gets him. But luckily, you have Bara standing right next to another vending machine in some other part of the map, so he can instantly buy his teammates back.
Diamond was actually sniped by one of the PE Sports players, but unfortunately, no one can reach him. Small price to play though, but that flies in. Nero's already spotted out. Evo's Divine found out by MBR. The Baz did the 1v1. Gotta switch to a better weapon. The Charge Buster was a bit too slow, and that was the right choice, having jumped by his side again. Inseparable duo of Twisted Minds getting the first drop.
Yeah, Twisted Minds are just getting fed all these eliminations. And now they've caught another fish in the net. You got B Esports also sending one of their players to just creep into this area, hopefully scout some information out. But the question is, will he find Twisted Minds or will they find him first? Extremely close. There goes Nero, trying to get the first shot, but he loses the advantage. And now he's been discovered. Exposi quickly recalibrating his position. And there you go. Lovely shot by Diamond. Nero taken out.
Every angle accounted for, even committing the FGL just to make Nero extremely uncomfortable. And Falcons need to quite make that rotation. They are on that highway, which was spotted out by Secret WAG, but unfortunately no clear shot for the Vietnamese. That's for Limit, and Limit somehow sneaks that one in on the T-Quay. We did highlight Popor making his job easier, but when Limit missed the step up, he absolutely does. Pina also finds one.
Nice two-piece from Limit X7. That vantage point on the bridge might just get him a third one as he spots Huang. Oh, just about gets in cover. So Huang, his life will be spared for now, but On Fire is landing right on top of his head, hoping to finish off what Limit X7 started. And there comes the spray. Another glue wall put up. Huang desperately trying to save his skin, hoping that he can land the jump shot against On Fire. But he's gonna go in for the wide swing. This 1v1 has gone on for way too long. I'm surprised that Falcons hasn't sent in any one of their other players to back On Fire up, but he seems to be handling himself for now. Huang just running around. How on earth is he still alive? He's holding his own until he, of course, gets sprayed down by On Fire finally. So Falcons up at 9 eliminations again.
A twin bridge and halfway there to the... actually, well, more than halfway to the average of 15 per round so far. Halfway there to the double digits of 20. Vamos making a full recovery after a horrific start to the game by having to face off against one of the better CQC teams in the name of Twisted Minds and see how they play this out because they have just gotten control of the internal of this compound.
Yeah, Twisted Minds, this duo sticks together, hoping to provide each other cover fire. Even if they try to isolate the fights against Vamos Esports, they're just running around and hoping that they can somehow break this duo up. Or if not break them up, at least isolate those battles. But the rest of Vamos Esports have also arrived. The Bus using the TPP to get that pre-fire in. Deals a little bit of damage, but doesn't get any knocks done. Now these glue walls and the reinforced glue UAV separating these two. Maybe the person from the high ground can give them a little bit of an advantage, but they try to climb around the other side, hoping to find the angles onto Vamos, and it's Diamond who strikes first. There goes down one more player. June bites the dust, and it seems like Zeus will be the next one to follow. Axel also accounted for on top of that roof. Diamond making sure that he keeps them pinned down on the roof so that he cannot provide any cover to his teammates Zeus and Ezreal on the low ground.
Twisted Minds letting Team Vamos take the compound only to trap them in it themselves. Brilliant thinking that from the ties, this should be the undoing of Team Vamos. Magna also not doing too shabby. The entire day so far has been quite the decent day for Magna Esports. Even though they don't really place that high in terms of placement, they have managed to make themselves known from time to time.
Yeah, at least they're avoiding disaster, because their performance so far has been a bit lackluster, but now they're stepping up and they're holding on to their horses over here in this little room. Even though they're getting flanked by Onyx, and even though Bigatron are just across the other side of this compound, it seems like Mark Knights will be able to repel away Onyx for now. And just like that, a lot of these teams will start to take their positions in this little vicinity. Mark Sports Club, Bigatron, Onyx have already secured their spots. There's a couple of other rooms which are still available for the teams. Let's see which one of them gets here first.
Even for BTR, this is a slightly better game than what we've seen in the first half. Now they have to face up against Onyx Olympus again. Warning shots being fired out is the bank having his teammate by his side, and Onyx Olympus not interested in this exchange just yet. They're holding to quite the comfortable compound, and even for BTR, they don't want to stay there too long, just in case there's a separate team nearby. But Twisted Minds finds themselves in the nest of BRU. It's just a 3 against 4.
Yeah, the numbers disadvantage really not working out for Twisted Minds. Jump goes down to the throwables, and Moshi steps out just to confirm that elimination. Even Getna puts one right in between Exposi. Oh my lord, this is going from bad to worse, because Buriram seem to be unshakable, and Twisted Minds, just by knocking on those doors, have kicked the Hornet's Nest. And that's what happens when you kick the Hornet's Nest. You get stung, paper cuts in a million pieces.
Some of the bad habits of Twisted Minds rearing its ugly head, especially those rotation. If you are fully relying on Diamond from long range, you don't want to fight into close compound. T-Kui getting LBT, Hong Am onto C-Tuan, Secret WAG, just superior in this fight against PE Esports and making it look easy. The young superstar rusher of the team, T-Kui getting his 5th elim, and PE Esports standing absolutely no chance.
PE Esports succumbing under the pressure, but Nero still holding on to his life. As soon as I said that, BLS1 gets the better of him. At least he prevents Onyx from getting that elimination.
Just a quick reminder that the Buriram Champion bundle is coming soon to the store. If you want to get your hands on that, I know a lot of diehard BRU fans are out there. This is your chance to show your support to one of the greatest teams we have had in competitive Free Fire. Utility thrown towards MBR. Falcons split into a 2-2 formation. MBR wants to seek for the low ground to avoid line of sight.
Yeah, but as soon as MBR go to the low ground hoping to avoid Falcons, they might just run into Bigatron. It's them being trapped between a rock and a hard place, and they'll soon be put out of their misery. MBR is out. And now that Falcons unquestionably control this high ground, they can use this position to farm up as many eliminations as they want. Yeah, sure, Porpor goes down. That's a cool knock, but it's not going to result in an elimination, and Falcons will still continue raining from above.
And that actually got Falcons some crucial info about teams that are nearby, right? Because we saw Onyx chip in, we saw BRU chip in as well in the efforts to take out MBR. They did call down 2 monster truck earlier on, but with Blue Zone closing in, I think they are still going to be in the clear, but the next one might force Falcons to rotate off to that low ground. Falcons right now will just take advantage of whatever they have to get a couple of stragglers as they take out Hwang Am. Secret WAG not doing too well.
Yeah, Secret WAG desperately trying to get into the compound that Magna Esports Club is holding. And Magna doesn't even need to fight them off. Falcons are doing their work for them. Falcons getting all the eliminations that they need. Yes, sure, Magna Esports Club have sealed up this entire house with the glue walls, but they're not getting any eliminations on the back of it. BLS1, one of the only people from Secret WAG who manages to make that rotation, now is hoping that he stays safe. He's hoping that Magna Esports Club act as his bodyguards, but they will also be forced to leave this compound eventually.
Onyx now dead center of the circle. BRU needed to come in for the southern side, and Falcons will eventually be forced to vacate that high ground and get into a more fair fighting position with the other teams. On fire, remove Secret WAG from this lobby, and Onyx Olympus now forced to spring into action. Magna on one side, BRU on the other, trying to really force the cross, and Poom dealing some crazy damage. Jonah getting clipped in his feet. Meanwhile, off screen, it is Onyx and Magna getting peppered by Falcons, who are still vulturing for extra points.
Falcons are indiscriminate at this point. They're no longer Falcons. You're right when you say that they are vultures right now. They're preying on everybody. Whether it's Buriram, whether it's Onyx, it doesn't matter who it is in front of them. They will take the shots at anything that moves right now. And they know that there's a bunch of revivals also happening, so they put their eyes to the sky and take down Virus before he can even make landfall.
What was that from Popo? That's gotta be a record shot there. AWM in hand as well. Close range, long range, Popo's got you covered. Jack of all trades, master of all as well. Pina onto G'day. Onyx Olympus might just have to let G'day bleed out at this point. With the blue zone closing in, Onyx Olympus are down to just 3 members. And Falcons, what a strong spot to be in, on top of a nest.
Yeah, the only team that's actually safe from Falcons are gonna be Buriram because they're directly underneath them. So unless Falcons abandon this high ground, they will not be able to take shots at Buriram, but they will definitely be able to make Magna Esports Club's lives miserable. They try to make that crossing, they try to force the fight against Bigatron, but by the time they get to Bigatron, all of them are so low on health, and Bigatron don't even get anything. They just get 1 elimination. Everything else is just lapped up by Falcons.
It almost feels like one of the events from Squid Games, right? Where the doll sees you, the doll shoots you in this manner, and instead of 1 doll, it's 4 dolls holding the Falcons insignia. BTR, despite being under such heavy surveillance, still managing to keep the whole squad up with 11 eliminations, and BRU continuing to be safe like you said, but they might have to face the tune of Onyx Olympus and BTR, who will start to get desperate as this circle closes in.
Yeah, they're right. But still, the biggest threat continues to be Falcons. And yeah, I mean, I'm not much of a Squid Games fan, but there is no green light over here. You just have to pray that you don't get shot. Put those glue walls up as quickly as you can and hope that you get safe passage. Buriram now will have a lot of people coming towards them. Onyx and Bigatron also just enjoying the calm before the storm, taking in their breaths, preparing for the incoming slaughter.
If the circle shift alliance is parallel with the bridge, it will be a godsend for Falcons. Right now, they are going to slowly wriggle their way into the center, but it does seem like they are not going to be lucky throughout the entire way. The Bolt Maker was used, Stormcore out by Porpor again with his senior by his side, Limit X7, starting to pepper the teams out in the open again. On fire, does need some rescue. They bring it back up onto the monster truck. Here they come onto the low ground.
Oh, let's go!
Can they stick the landing? Yes, they do, but Limit will be taken down by Jonah. They put up a barrage of glue walls to bring him back up, and BRU actually takes Limit down again, but now they have no access to Falcons. They gotta deal with Onyx.
Yeah, Falcons basically on X Games right now, getting into the monster truck and climbing on top of that roof, always maintaining the high ground advantage. Meanwhile, Buriram and Bigatron clashing against each other at the bottom, desperate to not get thirded. Meanwhile, Buriram, they still need to get inside that house, or better yet, keep Onyx inside and lock them in over here. The circle has barely any inches remaining. Deeks is just counting on his meds and hoping that the heal battle lets him win this one. Meanwhile, Falcons also might be forced to do the exact same thing. Buriram now knocking the door down, hoping to fight Onyx in that little claustrophobic circle, and everybody is just going down. Get now with the double. Wasana comes through with another elimination as well. The circle is non-existent, and it's just a heal battle right now. It's Porpor versus Buriram Esports. Wasana and Porpor hoping to find each other before they succumb to the blue zone, and Wasana lives through it all.
Back-to-back booyah for Buriram United Esports, but I gotta say, the biggest clutch there towards the very end was the electrotherapy, the advanced therapy. That last boost of heal, that last injection of health was what allowed BRU to outlast Porpor, who was already prepped to just banish himself continuously and fight through the pain of the blue zone, because if not for that Cassie, Falcons would have snuck away with the win. But once more, great showings from Falcons, and BRU starting to get consistent with their game.
BRU finally waking up, and you were right, their engines are indeed firing on all cylinders right now. Despite being stuck in such a difficult situation in between a rock and a hard place, BRU maintained their composure, they maintained their objectivity. A couple of them just tried to take down Onyx members, forcing those battles. Meanwhile, that clutch electrotherapy keeping Vasana alive. It really was one of those games where you don't expect it to go to a heal battle, but when push comes to shove, anything and everything is still on the table. Buriram get there, booyah. But let's be honest, it really was Falcons who walked away with way more eliminations than anyone else.
100%. We discussed earlier on that Get High, even in the darkest times, the lowest lights of BRU, Get High, the field medic with a combat shotgun is actually the clutch factor, and he does it again, right? He makes sure that even with his dying breath, BRU is able to live on through the pain. But also Moshi doing some fantastic job as well. I think following the call of Captain Jonah to continuously threaten Falcons with utilities. Falcons did not have a painted refuge, so could only rely on reinforced glue walls, but those ice grenades, those frag grenades really costed Falcons a lot of health and slowed them down. But not only that, Moshi landing an almost complete vertical shot to take out one of the Falcons members really sealed the deal.
Yeah, I can't even imagine what would have happened if that guy survived and then he was able to actually fight Vasana instead of going for that heal battle. But let's take a look at the highlights of this game, because this was an action-packed match right from the beginning. So many of these instances with Falcons and Vamos Esports getting a lot of these eliminations served to them on a platter. And even when Buriram Esports tried to make that rotation against Onyx, they somehow managed to keep all their players alive. So that is also one of those clutch moments from Buriram, because they lost a bunch of their players in the middle of that rotation, but they were able to revive each other really quickly. And yeah, that's the electrotherapy you were talking about. Poor. couldn't outlive the zone. And no matter how many medkits you've got, the electrotherapy still comes in clutch.
Yep. Let's take a look at some of the numbers here, because I think, BRU once more proving that they still got it, right? Even when people count them out, me being one of the doubters that started to ask some heavy hitting questions of, is the BRU era over? When are they going to make that recovery? There are these moments that give us hope that BRU is still one of the best teams in the world. Very equal stats spread out across everyone. Of course, Jonah calling the shots from behind the scenes. When you look at Wasana, you look at Getna and Moshi, they all have put in some heavy legwork to make sure that BRU gets that back-to-back.
Yeah, the back-to-back from Buriram finally coming through. They did not have much of a performance in the first game, but now it seems like they've woken up, and boy, that's bad news for everyone. The electrotherapy from Getna, that was the clutch, as you pointed out. Meanwhile, Moshi using that Skylab, making sure that everybody who's trying to rotate in between those compounds has a miserable time so that the glue walls get melted instantly. And more than that, it's also the heavy damage numbers coming in from Moshi. Because while you've got Vasana and Getna somewhere around the 1000 damage mark, it's Moshi with the 4k damage that really helps his team lift the Booyah.
You called it earlier on, Crips, that sure, BRU got the Booyah, but Falcons, they're the one walking away with the same points as BRU because they got 19 eliminations again. Falcons keeping that average, afloat. And I believe they probably would get a higher average per round compared to yesterday if they keep on doing this. But at least for BRU fans, you can rest easy knowing that BRU are going to be in contention, at least in the second place for now on the overall leaderboard. But Falcons are pulling ahead.
Yeah, Falcons are soaring high above everybody else. 108 points already in just 4 games. I think some records are about to be broken today. And I believe they are very, very close to overtaking AG Global on the overall standings as well. Buriram also climbing up. They didn't have a great start, but now look at them at 77 points. They've overtaken Secret WAG as well as P Esports. And this was a pretty good game for Bigatron as well, because this allows them to climb up to the 5th spot for today with 54 points.
Yep. And unfortunately, some of the teams at the bottoms are the Indonesians and the Malaysians. Primarily the Malaysian teams, Esports Putrajaya, Makna, and Team Vamos still trying to find their groove. We are reaching sort of like the terminus of week number 1. The Malaysians still struggling to get an inkling of what to do in a lobby as big as this. And I even go as far as to say that this Group A against C is probably a chiller lobby than when we have Group B involved. It is a very good chance for them to find their footing, but so far they haven't been able to find that yet.
Yeah, that is kind of unfortunate. I mean, most of the Malaysian teams kind of struggling over here. Makna Esports performing slightly better than they normally do, but yet there's still a long way for them to go if they want to get inside the top 6. Vamos, on the other hand, have been getting rather unlucky, especially in Next Era, where they try to escape that Grav Labs battle and they end up running into Buriram anyway. So even when they thought that they would be safe after they'd lost all their players and got the reses, they still were taken out in the middle of that rotation. So yeah, it's a rather unlucky day for Vamos Esports too. However, this was still decent enough from Makna Esports Club. I think they got like maybe 7 or 10 eliminations, somewhere between that number. So it's not bad, but still there's a lot left to be desired.
A lot left for sure. I think you said it right. Especially for the side of, I think, for the side of Esports Putrajaya, right? It was me and AJ, we discussed earlier on that there was quite the old-time duo on them, Mikacha and Raja, that played together for even back then, before Free Fire was what it is today. But, and like AJ pointed out, Free Fire changed with time, but we are still struggling, or they are still struggling to find that footing. I want to see Esports Putrajaya really come out with a bigger win, because they do have the potential, at least in the form of the 2 veterans that I just mentioned.
Yeah, I mean, Esports Putrajaya were one of the breakout teams from Malaysia. I mean, everyone thought that Makna Esports Club is the team to look out for from that country, but then comes Esports Putrajaya just stealing their thunder. But let's see if they can continue stealing away a bunch of points, because all of them need these desperately. Buriram with the double. Can they actually make it a triple? I mean, they are one of the stronger teams in Kalahari, and in their previous Kalahari games, they've been rather uncontested in the early game. And whenever somebody does come up to them, they've been able to repel them away. So it is still quite possible for Buriram to chain that 3-piece together.
BRU have gotten 5 booyahs out of 6 in a single day, so it wouldn't surprise me if they go for the hat trick this time. On Kalahari, you always have to watch out for BRU's drop spot. They are one of the most respected teams that hardly change their drop spot, if not ever, because people just respect them so much, right? So on Kalahari, you're looking at a command post and whatever is on the southeastern side of that area. But when we talk about regional pride, Falcons still leading the pack, 108 points, triple digits, followed by Secret WAG for Vietnam, Bigatron by Vitality for Indonesia, and Magna Esports representing Malaysia.
Yeah, but the point disparity between these regions continues to grow larger and larger, with the two Thai giants, Team Falcons as well as Buriram Esports, just beating everybody to a pulp. It is quite difficult for any other region to thrive.
Yep, and a caster prediction this time. You went for BTR, I am going for Secret WAG. I think it's a fair assessment on Kalahari because it is quite the long shot, right, in that sense. But I think it's okay because on Kalahari, usually I'll be looking at the Indonesian teams. I've gone straight for Evo's Divine, but unfortunately, I think with what we've seen today, that doesn't seem to be the case. I would have gone for RQ if RQ was playing, but unfortunately, they're not here.
Bro, exactly, bro. You read my mind. I was about to pick Evo's Divine when I started off this day, but then I thought, hold on, after the first 2 games, they're not really doing all that well, so I just changed my prediction to Bigatron. And I think in Kalahari especially, these guys can really make a comeback because Seabank is one of those guys that nails it every single time he gets those long-range battles. I do believe that Seabank has the potential to become the deadliest sniper in the lobby. So let's see if he can actually live up to his reputation. Let's put your hands together for the 5th game of the day, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to Kalahari.
If there's one thing that BTR has made their mark on when it comes to Kalahari, was that they are famously the team that stopped the trophy lift back in Esports World Cup 2025 when Evo's Divine and RQ were about to win. It was a final circle with all these 3 Indonesian teams, and Bigatron basically beat both of them to extend it to a Game 9. We gotta see that flare again. There is a possibility. I think today they're definitely performing slightly better than Evo's Divine. Evo's Divine had some questionable decisions, but it was a one-time magic that I am still looking for a repeat.
Yeah, I mean, those Indonesian teams were really in their prime in 2025, but especially for this fall 2026 season, it seems like not everybody from Indonesia is stepping up, not living up to their potential. Hold on though, because maybe Vietnam has a chance to shine right now. We got B Esports clashing against Vamos. Nero leading the charge, but while they're focusing on Nero, Bidet lands the first knock against Zeus. Nero jumping around, hoping to isolate those fights, but he will not be able to get away. Sichuan comes in to save him, but he also meets his maker. And there you go. B Esports suffering from quite a lot of losses. LBT biting the dust as well. B Esports relegated to just 1 player, but they've done plenty of damage. Vamos Esports were down 2 players, but they managed to buy them back instantly. Ezreal and Zeus back into the fray.
Quick revive as Team Vamos did have possession of the vending machine. For P Esports, let's see if they can wiggle their way out of this. They could borrow G'day showing up and slip into the shadows, but it's easier said than done with Badet caught right in the middle of all things. Onyx Olympus doesn't seem like they want to kind of overextend into this, and Badet, he survived like the last time we saw him.
Oh no!
Not that lucky. XL finds him with the Bison from the back. There goes PE.
You just had to say it, man. You just had to say that he's surviving for now, but Axel playing hide and seek, he's not gonna leave any prisoners survive. That's what happens when you enter confinement. You either take those prisoners, or you shoot them down. You had Onyx who were trying to third party, but they are a little bit late to the party, so I think they've lost that opportunity. They're gonna look for some another opportunity. Meanwhile, look at this! You got Magna Esports Club fighting for their lives against MBR, jumping on top of them. Getbu trying to survive. Alif lands that final knock, and just like that, Magna Esports Club have turned the tides.
And they got a bit of help from Evo's Divine from afar as well. And Evo's Divine doesn't really care who's in front of them.
Yeah,
but it's Mark now, MBR, Faiz getting some heavy lifting. BTR also wants to join this, and Mark now was like, okay, I'll leave you guys to your own devices as they are out of there. Getbu twisting his ankles a little bit. but they should be able to make a clean getaway with a vehicle available as well. ABAX losing the 1v1 against Deeks, and MBR out in 11th.
Yeah, MBR forced that fight against Mark Esports Club, losing 3 of their members, and their last player was just taken down. Let's see if Bigatron can eliminate EVOS Divine right now, because EVOS only committed 3 of their players to this fight. Their last player still out there somewhere, hiding and biding his time. Meanwhile, back in confinement, teams just keep on coming here. Onyx were already trying to third party over here, but when they realized the timing is off, they tried to fall back. But now they have a new contender. It's Falcons over here. Oh my god, Gray manages to knock Porpor. Instant confirmation as well. And he spots out one more player. Peanut trying to force the issue. He's trying to close in the distance, but G'day reunites with his teammates and makes sure that he doesn't get isolated in this fight.
I'm pretty sure Falcons are making the call to just fall back, because Limit and Peanut already disengaged themselves, and On Fire will quickly join them. Good on G'day for taking out Popor, because I feel like Falcons were pretty ready to go in for a full 4-man rush. But as a vending machine nearby, Falcons might just treat it as an invitation to go for more. Peanut around the corner will be spotted out by Poom, but unfortunately he's the first one to get shot through the wall. Poom with the knockdown, and that will be 2 members removed for Falcons. On Fire now found by Crime. Poom again with the follow-up. That's a 3-piece for him.
Yeah, Boom pressuring them with the Car 98, while the rest of Onyx, especially Putra and Crime, coming in from the left-hand side. They sandwich Falcons, and that's not the kind of sandwich that would get your taste buds tantalized.
Boatmaker called in at Mammoth here. Very open grounds. So dangerous fights incoming. Secret WAG will be the one charging towards Esports Putrajaya, who have control of the giant skeleton of the Mammoth. That also gives them some long-range opportunities as well, but you have PLS1 in the backline. Secret WAG might find the flank. Mikacha though comes in with the charge buster, completely whiffing the shot. And that is not good. ACAD brought out the hook gun to reposition. Wants to look for an opening, but Secret WAG are just sharper with the execution.
Yeah, Secret WAG are wiping the floor with Esports Putrajaya. They made quick work of this team and instantly eliminate them. That's pretty cool. But now Secret WAG have another target. I don't think they're aware about Markline Esports Club closing in the distance just yet, but with Alif and Ketpu climbing this cliff, I think PLS1 is about to get a nasty surprise.
Let's see if they can get out of this. PLS1, the last person to disengage, but the hook gun will allow them to be a bit more mobile. Virus, the first shot, doesn't get the knockdown just yet, but it does force PLS1 to basically plant himself right out in the open. T-Koi also getting the same treatment. Magna have the opportunity to shut Secret WAG down right here and now.
Oh, they called in a monster truck to bail PLS1 out of that situation. He is kind of trapped in the open though. T-Koi needs to provide some good sniper cover to get PLS1 to safety, but hey, PLS1 can handle his own. He's already got the knock on to Getbu. And at this point, WAG have the advantage. They can press the attack. They've dealt with the high ground flankers, and most of Mark Sports Club just need to take down Virus before anyone else can be allowed to escape. There you go, PLS1 gets the knock onto Virus. That's the confirmation they were looking for. And with Mark Sports Club once again getting the high ground, they will force a close range battle against Huang. Nice shot by PLS1 onto Jans once again. And this guy is just running circles around Mark Sports Club. Ketpu and Aleph thought that they had the advantage, but they've been peppered with all this utility. They're forced to go around the other side of the tent, with Huang using his Max 7 to completely wipe out the Mark Esports Club.
And it's not over yet, because with that fight concluded comes a new challenger. Twisted Minds arrive at the scene. And Secret WAG, battered and bruised, are not in a condition to fight a full 4v4, especially when they are down one member. But T-Koi, unfortunately, will be the target of pursuit for the Bass and Jump as well. They will eventually intercept his pathway and take him out. But Secret WAG are still in the game, but they have to let go of their superstar. BRU now shows up. Mammoth is the hotspot.
Yeah, how many teams are gonna come over here looking for eliminations? This is practically the fifth party. I mean, it would have been the fifth party if the other three teams were alive before them. But now it seems like you got Juena going in for a massive flank from outside the zone. He's hoping to surprise Twisted Minds over here. But the main fighting force of Buriram Esports have already closed in the distance. They're using the heal UAV as well to make sure that they don't suffer any more losses. And now finally, Juena reveals his position, gets the knock on to jump, and that's the cue for the rest of Buriram players to go full sending in. Wasana with a lovely shot, instantly wiping out most of Twisted Minds' forces, and they just need to take care of Diamond. He's trapped, no escape, and even Diamond goes down. A diamond in the rough, finally cut into pieces.
BRU sitting at 7, baiting in the blue, but does have that mammoth control. And we did see BRU put out quite the supreme performance against Twisted Minds. It speaks to their capabilities. Aim God, wow, with the clothesline there, traced himself with Gade. Onyx Olympus getting 1-for-1. ABAC doesn't stand a chance as Gade with the Mag-10. It's just brilliant today on Kalahari.
Yeah, bro, those sprays are insane. Really quickly dealing with the opponents and doesn't even need any more backup. Now, you got Vamos Esports approaching them in Council Hall, but I do believe that they don't need to force the issue, just like Buriram are forcing the issue. And their success have already gotten them the bundle inside the game, so be sure to check it out in the store. Oh, what? Putra. Rather unlucky, gets taken down by the Axel, but luckily Gede is right around the vending machine, so he can instantly buy his teammate back. Now let's see if Vamos can continue pressuring Onyx Esports, because Crime has that top angle, which should be able to stop Zeus and the Axel in their tracks. But the question is, will he finally reveal himself, or will he get taken down by the Axel first? That was so close.
And Jun made the long trip around the Coliseum, the Council Hall, in fact. Finally gets himself in a position to threaten Onyx Olympus, but the bounce off from the glue wall, very well placed by Crime. Now Vamos will face the challenge. Gade getting great support from his teammate. And
wow.
That is exactly the kind of execution we wanted to see. A valiant dash to knock them all down like bowling pins.
Have you seen that little show on National Geographic called Destroyed in Seconds? It feels like I'm back in 2005 watching that show again, because Onyx dealt with their threats very quickly. Now look at this circle. Quite a lot of compounds available in Bayfront and Confinement, so none of these teams will really struggle to get their place inside the zone. Bigatron have already occupied the northern part of Bayfront, with Secret WAG occupying the southern part of Bayfront. Twisted Minds still yet to make their rotation. So is Buriram Esports, but I don't think any of these teams will have too much trouble rotating into the zone. With only 7 teams remaining in the third circle, there's plenty of open space available for everybody.
Yeah, and this is officially the slowest game for Team Falcons. 0 eliminations so far, but it's also a game where they did have a very slow start around Confinement that we saw earlier on that became a super extended fight.
Yeah.
A brawl between multiple teams, so understandable that Falcons couldn't get the feet off the ground as quickly as they did in the past 4 rounds, but doesn't take away the fact that they have plenty of time to prep their arsenal for that late game.
And they're already very close to overtaking AG Global, so even if Falcons has a rather slow game, they don't need to worry about points. Oh, speaking of slow, look at Onyx Esports. They've just managed to wipe out their opponents in a rather quick fashion, but now they are the ones getting eliminated quickly. Porpor, nice elimination into Gide. And let's see if Onyx can turn this fight around, because they have taken 2 successful eliminations against Falcons. 2v3 could have been amazing, but Peanut turns the tide. That nade destroys 2 Onyx members instantly, and it's all up to Putra right now. He's running for his life. Hold on though, Peanut completely ignored the turret, and he pays for it with his life, giving Putra some much needed time to get some heals done. But I don't think he can go for the revives right now. He just runs across Porpor, using the grapple, hoping to get the angles. Porpor is running around and making sure that he doesn't die quickly. But this gives Putra enough time to jump back up on the roof and get the res onto Crime. And just like that, the opportunity is stolen away. Diamond puts him 6 feet under.
Porpor actually went into the stealth bites and was able to whiz past the surviving members of Onyx. That was quite the big brain play, but unfortunate for Onyx, who felt like they were almost about to recover from a dire situation. But now with Twisted Minds having to face up against BRU, we just took control of ground floor. Let's see if Twisted Minds can manage this, because BRU, they're going to be holding that for as long as possible, and Twisted Minds decided that they will go on the offense instead, but they will start with walling off the ground floor, and BRU just says, you know what, we're going to go second floor, we take out Exposy. Twisted Minds outmaneuvering themselves.
Yeah, bro, they're getting juked really hard, and Wasana is making sure that every single one of these mistakes is punished appropriately. Falcons get eliminated by Bigatron, but this fight, Buriram versus EVOS, has just got another little twist, because Secret WAG also wants a piece of the spy. While EVOS were desperately trying to survive their battle against Twisted Minds and Buriram, you got so many people taking advantage of this one. WAG positioning themselves outside of this compound, making sure that they don't get sandwiched in between any of these teams.
Yeah, unfortunately, Fire is completely trapped out with the open, finished off by PLS1. WAG did have had to tuck the tails and run away from Mammoth early on, but fully recovered. Twisted Minds finally removed from the lobby by EVOS. But down to the top 4. Team EVOS basically only have 2 of their members left alive. BRU full control of the compound, where EVOS members are in. Secret WAG, what a shot from Moshi! Unreal stuff with the AWM. He has the Moko as well, so the pings will constantly be there. Nan somehow still alive and makes it into the safety of the building.
Oh my god, how many lives does Nan have right there? Because I was 100% sure that he's gonna get eliminated. Somehow they get the revives in through the wall and manage to get Nan back into that compound. So Secret WAG retain all their members. Even Bigatron, who were taking pot shots from afar, were trying to make sure that they bag at least one elimination, maybe one free point, but they get nothing. The survivability on Secret WAG was on a whole new level right now. But take a look at Bigatron right now, because the circle favors them heavily. Both Buriram as well as Secret WAG will have to make some really cool maneuvers while keeping themselves alive if they want to get inside this zone.
Look, Chris, the 2 teams we predicted to potentially win this map, they are still in full force. Secret WAG will be challenged first. T-Quake, a big launch pad to get out from that situation, but the rest of Secret WAG are going to be left behind. And BRU looking to overwhelm them. There's Hong Ang already taken out, Nan eliminated. Not really nothing much left for Secret WAG, unfortunately. Down to the vestige of the superstar PLS1 and T-Quay. Can they make something happen? T-Quay certainly not. PLS1 chased out by Wasana. Moji comes in, dunks on him, and that is Secret WAG gone. But in the midst of that, it will result in BTR getting the booyah as they were completely uncontested.
BTR had absolutely nothing to worry about in that final battle. With Buriram and Secret WAG busy beating each other up, all Bigatron had to do was swoop in and make sure that Buriram do not get any time to recover from their losses, any time to heal at all. That's how you capitalize on the circle advantage. Yes, sure, they were trying to steal a couple of eliminations in that big cluster fight earlier on, and while they didn't manage to get any of those eliminations stolen, they get the booyah, which is so much better.
Yeah. And you lose the battle, but you win the war. In this case, they won both of them. Bigatron by Vitality, this was sort of like the magic that I said, I wonder if it will ever happen again instead of it being a one-time wonder. And it took more than a year, but we're seeing the signs of BTR alive again, getting very good tactical reads on Kalahari. They're not the most aggressive team out there. They're not the best in full-on gunfights, but they make up for that with just better positioning. And in this case, they use Secret WAG and BRU to create that window for them to snatch it the win.
Yeah, the FFMAI champions using this window to get themselves a much-needed booyah. They were nowhere close to danger, but with this booyah, they will pad up their stats and hopefully climb higher on the overall standings. In today's standings, they were up at the 5th spot. Maybe they will have advanced a position or 2. But before we can take a look at the points, let's take a look at the highlights so far, because you had teams like Falcons who were fighting from the get-go, and yet they were not able to get any eliminations. Onyx was able to beat them in that confinement battle. Then once you get towards the southern part of the map, there was a 5-team affair over here. It started with Mark Esports Club versus Twisted Minds, and then Buriram came in, and after Buriram managed to wipe out Twisted Minds, they had another team swoop in to force that issue near Mammoth. all of that was rather irrelevant until the zone forced them back up towards the northern side of the map, where Onyx, even though they got one of the best positions earlier on, they were quickly wiped out.
Yeah, and in this case, for the side of BRU, for the side of Secret WAG, I think they've gotten some decent eliminations overall. BTR only finished with 10, so that's 22 points for them. But the commendable finish, that's something that BTR desperately needs. And half of the total eliminations that they have is on CBank. Deeks coming in with 3 as well. You can see that from the stats, it's quite the mellow game for the Indonesians.
Yes, it's a rather quiet game for them. 10 eliminations only. Not their best achievement so far, but it's still a respectable 22-point game from the side of Bigatron Esports, which hopefully should let them advance up on the overall standings slowly but steadily. Quite a lot of heavy lifting done by CBank, like I expected him to do so. The sniper of the team, making sure that he extracts every ounce of value from the teams who are desperately trying to reposition and even using the launch pads. Meanwhile, Kyong didn't really need to do much. Deeks also has quite a lot of damage, but I believe a couple of his eliminations were stolen away from him because he's got 4 knockdowns but only 3 eliminations. Even Koja had more knockdowns than eliminations, so I guess they were not able to convert those. So if they managed to do that, they probably would have had a couple more to add to the tally.
Yep. I think overall it's just one of the more mellow showings from our heavy hitters, right? We did see Falcons having quite the poor start, and I think they didn't get much this game. Take a look at the game standings. Falcons, they walked away with mostly placement points, but just a measly 7, one of their worst rounds today. But they also had quite one stumble really yesterday. Right? Yeah, I mean, they had 5 out of 6 good games on their first day. So this feels like it's repeating the pattern again. But BRU, despite not having the booyah, still comes out on top with 24. The Indonesians, though, Onyx Olympus and Bigatron, both doing exceptionally well.
Yeah, I mean, at least Bigatron were getting into those fights since quite early on. So by the time they got to the final circle, they already had a bunch of eliminations to their name. And because of that, Bigatron, they managed to climb up to the 4th spot, overtaking P Esports. Secret WAG still being consistent at the 3rd spot. However, this is one rare bad game from Falcons. And because of that, the point difference between them and Buriram Esports is now only 14 points. There was a moment where Falcons were soaring ahead of everybody else. Buriram was not even close to the 100-point marker, but now it seems like Buriram are within touching distance of Falcons. So let's see if they can actually overtake them or not in the last game of the day.
Yeah, there's a very good chance for BRU now that Falcons had a underwhelming round and BRU had a good one. But even for Secret WAG, like you pointed out, Crips, they are remaining consistent, now still keeping themselves in the top 3. This is going to really raise the stakes, going into the last game. It's inconsequential considering that we still have 1 more week of group stage, but I think it's enough to give us quite the power ranking of where some of these teams are at. We talked about how Kalahari is the map with the Indonesians, and the Indonesians showed up. Now we need to see the random map and figure out if we do get another repeat of the same.
Yeah, I want to see if the Indonesians can once again win the Booyah on the 6th map. We don't know what the map is going to be yet, but I am kind of hoping that it's either a Nextera or a Kalahari, because both those maps were really intense today. I wouldn't even be mad if it's a Purgatory, but I definitely don't want to see a Bermuda once again.
Yeah,
if you that way.
That's fair. I mean, if you ask me, I will always pick Kalahari. If I can have a full day of Kalahari map, I would be happy, because I think it's one of the toughest maps to play, and it's a map that a lot of teams are not comfortable on. Even some of the veterans still struggle on that map, and it gives us a very good insight in what these teams' train of thoughts are when they are put in a position where they don't feel like they're in the zone, where they are not in their comfort zone in this case. Aside from the Indonesians, of course, because it's one of the maps that they have mastered.
Yeah, I mean, you could see the discomfort on the faces of these teams who are supposed to be one of the best, right? You had Falcons. It's not like they were shying away from any battles on the northeastern side of the map between Council Hall, Confinement, and all these places. They were still trying to pick up all these battles, but they just did not get anything done. And I guess you can say the same for a bunch of the other teams like Twisted Mind as well. Sure, they had a decent fight earlier on, but they couldn't really make it to the end game. And even though a lot of these teams from from Thailand, Falcons, Twisted Minds, Buriram, all of them are heavy hitters. Sometimes you get to see them falter on Kalahari. Not Buriram this time. They had a pretty damn good run in Kalahari. Let's see if they can once again repeat that. Very soon we will be finding out which that 6th map is going to be. Obviously, Husky and I have given our preferences. I would love for you guys in chat as well to tell us what you would prefer to see.
Yep. Spin the wheel and see. And again, for me, I want Kalahari all the way. And it seems like we might go there.
Yes, it is.
We're going back to Kalahari. So 2 games in a row and a chance for Falcons to make things right.
Yeah, I mean, I really hope that Falcons do not have a second bad Kalahari game. They are so close to overtaking AG Global. I really hope that they can make that comeback. But even if they cannot, at least I hope they don't have a bad game so that they can at least maintain their 2nd spot on the overall rankings. So far, Falcons have been having a field day. They got the Booyah to begin the day, and then they had pretty damn good games in Salada as well as Purgatory. But Buriram, of course, have been stepping up. 2 Booyahs on the trot, and they got like the 2nd place in Kalahari as well. So both Buriram as well as Falcons, the 2 teams from Thailand, having a field day.
Yep, they started, it took them a while to warm their seats, but once they got into the flow state, you can see that BRU showed us what Falcons showed us almost the entire day. And once more, we gotta remind you guys that regional pride is on the line. This is not just about, which region gets the most points at the end of the day, because the loser that the winners picked will have to bow to them. And that's tough, man. That's tough.
Yeah, I mean, it's enough. It's devastating enough to lose a game. It's even more humiliating to have to bow to your opponents, because that doesn't just hurt your points, it hurts your ego. And of course, that really can't be good for any player or for their mental health. Wait, Husky, how are we matching all our predictions today, bro? Except for the previous game of Kalahari, we've been predicting Falcons in the Nextera map, and now we both predict Buriram for the 6th game as well. That's crazy.
I mean, even the previous game, we predicted the 2 teams that ended up in top 3, right? And BTR was the one that came out on top. BRU, it's just, I've always had this conversation with AJ for as long as we've worked together. Every single time I say that, man, it seems like BRU is not having a good day, he will always tell me that, nah, BRU is just not at 100%. And some way, somehow, they always bounce back. And that's a good quality of the making of the best team in the world. So if they can get the Booyah here, it would be 3 Booyahs in a single day for BRU and a potential 1st place finish. And that's barring that Falcons do not get a good game.
What would happen if both Buriram as well as Falcons start firing on all cylinders? It would be a clash of the titans of sorts between the 2 Thai teams. And that would not be good news for all the other teams. I mean, so far, most of the Malaysian teams like Vamos and Makna Esports Club have been getting caught in between these teams and their crossfires. They've been stepping into meat grinders. That's what it probably feels like if you're Vamos Esports, because you're always getting caught in between your rotations. Even Makna Esports Club never seem to find a fair battle where they have the upper hand. So when these two titans start firing, everybody else suffers. So it's in the interest of the rest of the lobby to work together to take out Buriram and Falcons.
Yeah, and for BRU, see, then they are, I mean, relaxed as always. I remember when we looked at some of the, was it Clash Masters? Back in spring, there were times where, Jonah was absent and they were just trying out with Turner instead, who is their 5th player. Also quite an expiring prospect that I think BRU would definitely keep for the long run. But the main 4 of BRU is still some of the scariest, most polished squad that we have seen. And the team, the region that's trying to catch up to them, the hardest is actually Vietnam.
They seem to be infighting right now. But it looks like they're having fun.
Yep, but they was having a lot of fun. I mean, this is his debut. I would say his debut on the regional stage, right? This is like the big boy league. So
yeah,
Esports, I mean, they've quite the journey so far. But yeah, you were saying.
I mean, even though it's the debut for Bidep, he's doing really well. And it's not just him, there's a bunch of other people who are stepping into big shoes. I'm talking about like Falcons as well. Even they have a new player. So Porpor, it seems like he's been, sent in to replace Kedoro, but Kedoro has quite a lot of impact on the team, and Porpor is doing really well to step into his shoes. Of course, no changes from the side of Buriram as they continue to reign supreme. They've got their own bundle in the game as well now because of being the 3-time world champion. So make sure you check it out. Maybe it will empower you as well.
I think even for Popor, right, AJ pointed out earlier on that he was actually in a few teams before this, but this is the first time we sort of see him on the front line as a constant. So a true test for someone who has been hanging around for quite some time. BTR seeking for, I believe, confinement again. Not much deviations from the drop zone though. Vamos still wants to go up against PE Sports. Sorry, BTR went for Council Hall. Let's see if this will be any different from the previous round where Vamos came out on top.
You also have Onyx, who tried to third party in to this fight in the previous game, but they were not here on time. So both PE Sports as well as Vamos managed to get that isolated fight for like the first minute. If they can wipe out the other team in this first minute before the third party arrives, I think it will be a great start for them. You got Zeus chasing Nero to the ends of the earth, going around the right side, but Nero, instead of going around for the flank, now rejoins his teammates. Even Vamos Esports are going for a 2-2 split. You've got Zeus working in tandem with, if I'm not wrong, that is going to be June, but I'm sorry, not June. It was Zeus and June and the Axel. They're just standing from afar and trying to provide some cover fire. That being said, though, June's already acquired the Winchester, so if anyone from PE Sports decides to occupy a window, June will be able to land those shots. And all they're doing right now is just repositioning and trying to outmaneuver the other team. Nobody ready to make the first move. Nobody ready to full send it in yet.
Also on the assumption that PE Sports don't fight outside the building, right? Because Jun, he has a high ground, but he has zero line of sight. And it seems like that is the plan for Team Vamos. They want PE Sports to walk out into the open so that they can get an advantage with Jun. MEC out with a first blood, I believe, on the tension. Now looking for Ryu as well. Unfortunate infighting there between the Malaysians, and they will find that one. Ryu is the second one to go down as Esports Putrajaya completely disengaged. Jun does have a nade cooked up, but decides against it.
Oh, meanwhile, back in confinement, Sichuan already down. PE Sports, that loss definitely is going to hurt them. Vamos Esports, on the other hand, they have all 4 of their players alive. And with the vending machine not accessible to PE Sports just yet, they might just have to live with this disadvantage. But whatever these two teams are cooking, they better wrap it up quickly, because if they don't, then Falcons will arrive. Last time also they tried to third party in on confinement, but they did not get a single elimination. I'm sure they're going to fix things around this time as they start off by eliminating the Axel.
Contrary to the previous round where Falcons a bit too overzealous, this time they readjust their approach. That will be Porpor getting his first 2. Jun spotted out, being able to buy it in hand. To go on the chase, the glue wall will buy a bit of time for Jun, but he knows that he's completely trapped. Even for Magna, they're getting taken out by Twisted Minds off screen. Plenty of early skirmishes happening left, right, and center. Azrael, last man alive. Can Falcons get him?
And it's such a shift in the vibe in confinement over here, because you had PE Sports as well as Vamos both taking very measured approaches, both just taking every single step with a second thought. Meanwhile, Falcons Esports just comes in and swoops everybody in. Oh, look at this fight as well. Twisted Minds making short work of Magna Esports Club. They lost the bus, but they instantly get him back on his feet, and they revive Exposy as well. Oh my lord, lovely connection onto Virus. Can he make it across though? That would be a very difficult fight to recover from. But it seems like PE Sports are also doing their best to recover from this battle against Falcons, because they've already got the elimination onto Pina and on fire. Limit X7, lovely shots connected onto Bidep. And that is PE Sports suffering from yet another loss. But Falcons, having vacated this entire region, have full control over the confinement vending machine, so they can revive their players again.
Unlike the previous round, Falcons this time make good on the opportunities presented, and AimGod doing the exact same thing for EVOS, as it has been a no-show the entire day for our EWC 25 champions. Sure, you could say that with Russia now taking a break away from the scene, you know, having fights to fill in and having ecal every now and then. But we did see them making it possible yesterday with, I think, 84 points. The current state right now is a long shot from what we saw on day 2. And EVOS, they have to find a solution to this, right? Especially with how they were making some of the decisions. It felt very rash and really not thought through.
Yeah, I hope these rash decisions don't continue to bother them. There's only one game left, so I hope that they can recover from all those decisions previously. Oh my god, Putra making it across rather safely. Buriram Esports had a rather quiet start in command post with nobody to challenge, but now that Onyx Esports is inching closer, Buriram are not going to shy away from this fight.
I think they can slowly walk on forward. This command post is one of their strongholds on Kalahari. If you want to take command post, you have to go through BRU, and most challenges usually fall because of how much BRU understood the lay of the land, the architecture of that compound. You see even Onyx Olympus nearby, they do not dare step into the center of it. But BRU, they haven't even fully posted up just yet. Usually Moshi will be on top of the command tower when given the chance.
Yeah, they don't have that full setup yet, so Onyx Esports also taking every step in a very measured way, but EVOS, they go in for the full send against Bigatron. IamGod desperately trying to run away because he's getting peppered from afar by Deeks, and then Koja is right there to put him in the ground. Bigatron Esports just got served those 4 eliminations on a platter.
That should give them control on the western side of Refinery. But the focus is to go on the chase to pick off the remnants of EVOS Divine. But Vice did get the full revive.
Yeah, he got the full revive, but Bigatron are now hunting him down. Wait, yeah, there you go. Kyong chasing him, latching onto his heels. FaZe desperately putting up the glue walls, hoping to save his skin, but Seabank has the flank.
Whoa!
He gets into the car? Oh, that would have been such a cool escape if he actually made it though. But Bigatron don't take any prisoners. They hunt him down as he tries to escape. And it seems like they got a good idea as to where the rest of EVOS Divine could be.
Yeah, it looked sick for a while there. But either way, he was able to get that full revive. So EVOS gets another chance. Falcons in the meantime down to just 1 PLS1, finding Bara off screen. Abax just dropped down but was able to acquire a vehicle. Can't say the save for Coach Yu though. Abax tried to save him, but the captain ends up going down again.
Oh, Bigatron Esports. It seems like getting into a vehicle against them is always a bad idea. Whether it's FaZe or whether it's Abax, none of them will be able to make their escape on 4 wheels. Bigatron up at 7 eliminations already, going way out of the zone to hunt down and farm up their stats. They only had like 10 eliminations in the previous game of Kalahari, but now they've got 7 already. And this is just the second circle. I think they should be able to cross at least the 15 elimination mark. Unless they don't get eliminated early on.
Yeah, I mean, there's a very good chance that they make it to that point. Because even when we look at the map right now, the state of where all these teams are at, Bigatron have a clear path forward. Piston Mines is rotating southwards towards Bigatron, but their next destination is going to be where Mammoth is. And that's where Vice is hiding. So Bigatron might just get another freebie.
Yeah, Koja just used his binoculars and discovered that there's at least 1 player in the vicinity, and that's FaZe. So, if Koja can win that battle, that will be the 8th elimination for Bigatron. But right now, you've got the Bayfront battle, Falcons versus Magna Esports Club. Porpor just staring daggers at Jans, and Jans finally challenges him out in the open. Both the players forcing the issue. Jans closing in the distance. And oh my lord, the stealth bite's activated. He's trying to juke Jans, but he gets into the car. Oh, he almost tried to dash into Porpor, but Porpor has quick feet, dodges that vehicle assault, and wins his duel. Now, can Virus win his duel against Limit X7? Yes, he does, but instantly gets traded out. So Falcons back at full strength.
Just now we saw them down to just 1 member. A mass revive came through. Falcons now sitting at 9. A vending machine nearby and some decent economy to work with if needed. A council hall and confinement. These 2 locations have been the hot spot. Both game 5 and 6. And Alif will try to poke it out of there. But Falcons are going to try and chase him down because again, knowing Kalahari, so much open area that even if you try to buy distance, there's a very good chance that someone with sharp eyes will be able to spot you, and that it will be the fate for Alif right now as Pina closes in.
Yeah, they've even got the hit list on him, so he cannot hide. He can try to run, but it's probably not gonna get him much farther away. He has no choice but to fight and stand his ground. And that's also very difficult when On Fire is dashing you in the face. Limit X7 providing Overwatch as well. And Falcons are just wiping the floor with any opponent that comes across them. Let's see if Buriram can stand against them. They've already got their bundle in the game. And maybe it will empower you as well if you buy this bundle. So be sure to check it out in the store when it arrives.
Yeah. I mean, good times coming true. Jan's not having that good time, but that with 2 in a row. The Esports making quick work of their adversaries, but that a new kid on the block with 5 in his name. And Virus not only taking the blue, but also trying to avoid the watchful eyes of Team Vamos. And it's another round where the Malaysian teams are just not showing much.
Yeah, Vamos Esports at only 1. They haven't really done much, but Virus, the last survivor, might just get picked off by his own Malaysian brothers. And Zeus puts the final nail in the coffin. There goes Mafta Esports Club, down with only 3 eliminations.
Santa Catarina is a very good spot to basically set up shop and just slow the pace of the game down. And it does put them pretty close to the perimeter of the circle, with the only exception that PE Sports is coming in and they just scanned out Team Vamos. The binoculars used adequately, and Vamos doing the same towards the southern side. And them rotating right now will free themselves away from the incoming PE and Falcons.
Yeah, they already used the binoculars, so I think Vamos should be pretty safe. They can get inside the zone without much trouble, and they will even have a compound to themselves. But EVOS and Bigatron are clashing hard against each other. You got C-Bank already pushing down Apex into the ground. Confirmation not here yet, but Teeks almost tried to climb up that container. Then he discovers that you got Keel right around him, so Kyung will be able to help him out with that as well. And there you go, Aim God also out. Bigatron making quick work of EVOS Divine.
EVOS, another early exit with nothing to show for. Less than half of what they achieved yesterday. That is going to be quite the heartbreaker. And they do reviews for game 1, but for BTR, splendid stuff with 12. Make that 13. Mikacha shot down from mid-air as they were able to get into the lightning zone, but also have a couple of tents to work with here. BRU right in the middle, and Sebang, he's still outside, but Kenshin finally gets the punish.
Oh my lord!
Wait, he's back up!
Putrajaya are making that risky rotation, but they're getting peppered mid-air. C-Bank hunting them down from the skies, and the rest of them succumb to the zone. Esports Putrajaya are out, and C-Bank just continues to farm those eliminations until he gets destroyed himself. But that's not a problem. Bigatron should be in a safe spot from the rest of the threats, but they can't bring their teammate back. The only vending machine, if they want to access it, they will have to go through Twisted Minds. And then you've also got like Buriram holding on to the revival points. So yeah, there's not much of a chance to bring your fallen teammates back for Bigatron.
Yeah, I think Sebang knew that he was going to go down regardless. So that's why he did his absolute best and stall as much time as possible. That gave him enough opportunity. Deeks did get the drop on the 2 of the members of Twisted Minds though. Good for 1, and Rifaela actually steals one of it away, and that's Diamond eliminated. Twisted Minds caught between a rock and a hard place, containers, and sandwiched by 2 different teams. PE Sports opted to go low ground to cut line of sight, and that will put Vamos in the dark as the Bass and Exposé will be pushed by BTR. But as the glue walls go down, Wasana and Jetna chime in. They will be the one that steals these points away.
I mean, Bigatron didn't even consider that Buriram could be a threat. They were so busy focusing on MBR and Twisted Minds, they forgot that Vasana can wipe them out. But before Bigatron wipe the dust, it is going to be Twisted Mind that get confirmed eliminated. MBR picking up all those points for themselves, and this actually gives them quite a lot of space to work with. Meanwhile, back inside this house, you got PE Esports versus Onyx Esports. PE Esports escaped the battle against Vamos, only to land straight into the crosshairs of Onyx, and Putra is doing God's work over here by getting that elimination onto Bidep. He also wants to get inside the house and get the knock onto Sichuan, but the blue walls are blocking his way. Jump shot from the Axel. No, wait, Axel never made that jump shot. He shot him through the window. So that is the elimination stolen away, and it's all up to LBT. He's hoping that he will be able to survive this onslaught, but there's just way too many players. LBT with a double elimination. He tries his best, but PE Esports go down anyway, and so do Bigatron.
Yeah, I believe it's a Secret WAG with the grenade launcher that took them out, but in the meantime, they also have to deal with BRU. PLS 1 against Moshi. They did recover some of their teammates, so the sniper of BRU left all alone. Can he pull off the clutches like he always do? A 1v3 with an AWM in hand. He makes it out into the open first. But Moshi able to find a disengage as the rest of Secret WAG tries to chase him down. Finds a tag with the PLS1, but the finisher was there from the Axo. Team Vamos playing absolute spoilers from long range.
Yeah, they spoiled the game for Buriram. Now they're spoiling the game for Secret WAG. It's just PLS1 left, and he's very vulnerable over there. Either the zone or Vamos Esports should be able to take him down in the next few seconds. So he's just counting down and hoping that he can have some impact before the Axel finally eliminates him. But it doesn't accomplish much. Vamos Esports not only have a lot of eliminations, but they also have a pretty good high ground advantage over here against the Falcons as well as Onyx. Onyx are sharing the same compound with them, but they can't harm a hair on Vamos' head.
Yeah, then it's a damn if you do, damn if you don't situation there.
Yeah.
And Team Vamos at the 11th hour in the final round now has the best chance of winning this final map and close it out with a booyah. They are the torchbearer of the region. They are the one that showed us that we can still hack it on the global stage. And today, after 5 rounds of waiting, maybe this is the moment for Team Vamos. If they keep their composure, they have the roof of the Onyx compound, they have possession of the circle. Even after it moves, it will still be Team Vamos in the strong spot.
Yeah, and they've got a nice decent spread over here, so they can get multiple angles onto Falcons. Falcons also feeling very claustrophobic inside that compound. They only have a few inches to work with, and very soon they will be forced to get outside. Look at Vamos Esports placing the glue walls to block out one side of the entrance, funneling Falcons onto the left-hand side. And as soon as they step out, everybody is ready to shoot them down. It's like shooting at fish in a battle. Por gets destroyed the moment he takes a step outside that house. Limit X7 and On Fire might just meet the same fate right now, with both Onyx as well as Vamos Esports shooting them down. The Riptide Rhythm also leaves them nothing to work with, and Poom managed to steal one elimination away from Vamos, but he gets punished for it instantly. Down to a 3v2. Onyx Esports desperate to make a change over here, but Crime and Gede will have to fight against overwhelming odds to get inside the zone over here. June gets back into the zone, hoping to find the backstab, and there is Vamos winning their booyah, putting Malaysia on the map.
Finally, in the final moments of week number 1, Team Vamos gives us something to celebrate. 14 eliminations and a booyah make that 26 points for the Malaysians. The hopefuls that they're the insignia of the region after 4 years of drop from the international stage are right back in it. And this should give them the confidence that they can do it against the big boys. And it's not like it's their first time either. This booyah is a statement that with the right preparation, they can actually have some good rounds.
Yes, it definitely, tells us that you cannot count the Malaysian teams out just yet. Up until now, the flavor of the day was Malaysian teams getting caught out in the open, getting destroyed mid-rotation. But finally, Vamos Esports is here to debunk those theories, to make sure that you do not underestimate Malaysian teams ever again. They changed the narrative. And yes, quite a lot of things had to go correctly in their favor for them to land this booyah, but they make sure that they stack up all those advantages on top of each other and turn the tide of the battle. I love how they were pressuring PE Sports while rotating across the Zone Rage region. I love how they were basically funneling Falcons into a tiny corner of that house. They were practically manipulating their opponents into doing their bidding.
Yep, and that is something that you are going to see a lot more often in Southeast Asian regions. All these mind games, all these misdirections that some of these teams have up their sleeves. It's quite the sight to behold. We did see that Team Vamos started off the game in the exact same situation around confinement, where we have the hot drop situation against PE, but this time they were able to not only start the game, but also make snappier decisions to avoid, unnecessary conflict.
Yeah, and speaking of unnecessary conflict, you see how many rotations Vamos Esports made, which were rather necessary. They don't make any unnecessary rotations, they don't have any wasted movements, and that's why they were able to keep this numbers advantage going into the last zone. Because how often do you see Vamos Esports having all 4 players alive in the final circle? Not very often. But when they finally do, it results in them getting the booyah. And all of them stepping up as well. You had multiple players getting 5+ eliminations on the side of Vamos Esports. So it's a pretty good showing from them. That being said, though, the MVP is, of course, the Axel, using that Riptide rhythm to make his opponents extremely uncomfortable.
Yeah, this is always the rock solid pillar of Team Vamos. Whenever you need him, right? He is one of the star sniper players from the Malaysian scene. When he was back with Expand, that was his, I would say, peak era, where he is just outgunning everyone locally. And now, even on Team Vamos, when everyone else is struggling, when you need someone to get that mass revive, you need someone to be the sacrificial lamb, to be the one that finds these openings, Axel is always a reliable opener.
Yeah, he's the impact player of the team. It's not like he's just getting eliminations for the sake of it to pad the stats. Every single one of those eliminations directly results in the other team having a catastrophic loss that they cannot recover from. It's not like Vamos is just winning their early game battles and farming up those eliminations, right? Or letting their opponents escape and revive their teammates with the vending machines. No, they activated themselves in the final dying embers of the game, and every single time they got one of those eliminations, it increased their chances of winning the Booyah by that much more. And almost everybody contributing equally, with the exception of course, Ezreal having only 900 damage. It's still pretty respectable because all the team members are contributing really well. You got Zeus with 1200 damage, June with 1770, and then you got the Axel with 2300 damage. All of them contributing really well. So it's not like just one guy carrying the team, everybody's lifting their own weight.
And of course, we have Ezreal with the Diva as well, so quick revives there. And then when you need someone to really get into the front line and confirm the eliminations, you have Zuez to do the bidding. Right? So overall, a solid performance from Team Vamos. It was something that was in the making. It was something that you sort of know was possible, but not really sure when Vamos is going to kind of demonstrate that. This game is quite the closure for them. 26 points, followed by Falcons with another 20 points. Just like they always do, followed by Bigatron by Vitality and Onyx with 19 apiece.
Yeah, Falcons Esports didn't really have a great time in the previous game of Kalahari, but they once again get that 20-pointer, consistent as ever. Bigatron as well, having a field day with 15 eliminations. And I am actually surprised to see Buriram get only 7. I really thought that they started off with a bang because they had some early fights go in their favor, but they weren't able to turn that momentum and carry it forward. PE Esports having a pretty decent game with 11 points. You got PE Esports, Secret WAG as well as MBR, all of them tied at 11 points apiece.
Absolutely. Let's take a look at the overall standings. Falcons still your team of the day, 135 points, basically 2 points short of the record that they set on their first day. But man, the average is consistency at its finest. BRU coming in second, good recovery towards the very end, second half with 113 points. But for Secret WAG, not too shabby as well, right? They finished today in third place, at least between Group A and Group C.
Yeah, Bigatron Esports also had a pretty good day. Although you're used to seeing them get those 100-pointers consistently, it's one of those rare days where they stop at 95. However, the gap between Bigatron and Onyx is astounding. Onyx down at 78 points, so that kind of tells you how much of a top-heavy lobby this was. And then the other pointers are also not that far behind. You know, you got PE Sports only like 6 points behind Onyx. But then between PE Sports and Vamos, there's a massive gap. Vamos with only 59. And after that, everybody was rather struggling today. And that was just the today standings. So let's see how it impacts the overall standings of the week.
And overall standings, Falcons still at the top, overtaking AGL just like what we predicted. But honestly, the top 3 heavy hitters from Thailand, rightfully so in the top 3 spots. You got Falcons, you got AGL, and then BRU. All of them having multiple booyahs, and the Secret WAG as the beacon of hope for Vietnam is sitting in 4th place, followed by RQ and BTR, and then Flash and PE in 7 and 8. And we close out the first page with Onyx Olympus. I mean, the most impressive thing for me is that for Vamos, right, that they've done just enough to make sure that they are only 2 points away from the 12th spot.
Exactly. I mean, getting into the 12th spot is going to be the objective for the first 2 weeks of this tournament. And there was a point when all 3 Malaysian teams were sitting at the 16, 17, 18 spot at the bottom. But at least Vamos manages to bounce back and climb a little bit before the day, or rather before the week ends.
And our team of the day as mentioned earlier on, is going to be Team Falcons with 88 total eliminations, 90 assists, and only a single booyah, mind you. And it's crazy to think about it. 62,580 damage. This team is looking unstoppable by the end of week number 1. So if there's any other contenders out there, before we head into week number 2, they gotta keep Falcons on their radar, because this level of consistency is what allowed Falcons to kickstart the Golden Road back in 2024 before it was eventually stopped right after Esports World Cup.
Yeah, and with Falcons having such heavy momentum on their side, even if they have a terrible week 2, you know that they're going to have a pretty good time in the knockout stage. But this was the last game of the week, and up until now, none of these teams are in that much danger, but they will need to get inside the top 12 by the time we end week 2. And if teams like AG Global and Falcons keep on dominating like this, soaring so far ahead of the rest of the competition, it will become an AG and Falcons show.
Yep, it certainly looks to be that way, right? Especially for AGAL is also one of the teams that has always been the top performer in local domestic league and even in regionals. I think this season for 2026, AGAL has had such a so close yet so far storyline, right? Second place in spring, Clash Squad, Battle Royale, and then coming in second at EWC again. Let's see if they can complete their story, because they are still hunting for their first Battle Royale trophy. Ideally, you want to be an international stage, but it has been a wait of more than 4 years.
Yeah, I mean, I do feel bad for AG Global, man. In the last 3 months, they've had 3 tournaments where they almost won the entire BR thing, and then they just got stuck at second place. Whether it was them not being able to use the champion rush condition to their advantage, or whether it's them just getting enough eliminations but not booyahs at all. AG Global, it was... I mean, you're right. It hurts more to be almost there, but then you don't win it. If they were down at the 4th or 5th spot, it probably wouldn't hurt as much. But being just that much closer is just very, very painful. Although it probably wouldn't be as painful as what we're about to see next. Of course, with Team Falcons being the team of the day, you will be able to see them on screen. We'll be talking to them in an interview, and I think they will be able to see, what punishment fits the losing nation.
Yeah, and I can't wait to see how this one is going to play out, because again, we do have the regional pride on the line. Falcons were the winners of this challenge. Let's see who they pick to take a bow.
Well. It seems like we already know which team is the kings of today's daily challenge, and that team is ไหนพูดชื่อทีมพร้อมกัน3 2 1ทีม Falcons นั่นเองค่ะสำหรับ Daily Challenge วันนี้นะคะเราก็ได้รู้แล้วว่าราชาของสัปดาห์นี้ก็คือทีม Falcons. And what's your feeling of being a king? รู้สึกยังไงบ้างคะกับการที่ได้เป็นราชาใน Daily Challenge วันนี้
ก็รู้สึกดีใจครับที่ได้เป็นราชาก็เพราะคะแนนดีดีใจครับผม
We feel really happy because the point is really like satisfying us. And please show us some dance move to show how happy you are. ไหนเต้นให้ดูหน่อยดูซิว่าเราดีใจขนาดไหนไปพร้อมกัน3 2 1 6 7 Okay then now you've proven that you are the king. So which region that playing today do you think deserve to be humbled the most? คือตอนนี้เนี่ยเราได้พิสูจน์แล้วว่าเรานี่แหละราชาตัวจริงแล้วทีมจากประเทศไหนที่เราคิดว่าควรถูกสยบมากที่สุดคะ
คิดว่าทีมจากประเทศมาเลเซีย
มาเลเซีย Okay Malaysia is the team that they think that should be humbled the most. And to that Malaysian teams that are watching right now, what do you want to say to them before they bow to you? ก็คือเดี๋ยวทีมมาเลเนี่ยจะต้องก้มหัวให้เราอยากจะบอกอะไรพวกเขาก่อนที่เขาจะก้มไหมคะ
ก็เสียใจด้วยครับสำหรับวันนี้ขอนั่งอยู่บนบัลลังก์แล้วกันครับ
นี่ We are really sorry for you guys today but it seems like it has to be us that have to sit on the throne. Okay, so that's the answer from Team Falcons. What a bold statement from the Kings. ก็คือเป็น คำพูดที่แบบดุดันมากจากราชานะคะ How Malaysian team will face their punishment แล้วทีมมาเลยอ่ะจะแบบก้มหัวยังไงดีล่ะเนี่ย Okay the tension in this tournament is really heating up you definitely don't want to miss it For now, let's get back to the caster and see you soon. การแข่งขันนี้เริ่มดุเดือดขึ้นมากๆนะคะก็คือไม่อยากให้ใครพลาดเลยสำหรับตอนนี้การสัมภาษณ์ได้สิ้นสุดลงแล้วกลับไปที่แคสเตอร์กันแล้วเจอกันใหม่ดีกว่าค่ะ บ๊ายบาย บ๊ายบายหน่อยบ๊ายบาย
Good news is that you can't really hurt us. Not Thailand, not Indonesia, not Vietnam. We've been hurt worse. We are used to this. We are numb. All right, we are numb to this sensation. We're just happy to be here for the vibes, for the games. But Team Falcons, deservedly team of the day. They get to call the shots, and rightfully so. 133 points on day 2, 137 points on day 1, and the first place team at the end of week 1. What else could you ask for?
I mean, maybe some humiliation of your opponents. That could be something that they asked for. I mean, I feel kind of bad for Vamos Esports because, like, do they have to, like, bow now? Imagine winning the Booyah in the final game of the week. Imagine closing off the week on a pretty sweet note, but then you still have to bow down. That would feel rather anticlimactic, wouldn't it? So I'm not sure which one of these teams will have to put their pride on the line and then, you know, swallow it, but it would be rather painful to look at. But maybe fun in a good way.
Yeah, depending on how you take it. But knowing that the teams and the players, they are always very graceful when taking, you know, these punishments. But we gotta remind you guys, you know, we have Red Bull, especially the Red Bull Zinc and Vitamin from Thailand, supplemented with Zinc B6 and B3 and featuring a mild taste that helps players stay highly focused and seize every opportunity to achieve stylish booyahs and victory. And you gotta remember, when you have a Red Bull, you trust your energy. And these players, they certainly do.
Yep. With Red Bull, you can trust your energy and you can trust it to give you the wings as well. Wings, just like Falcons possesses, which help them soar to the top of the points table today. So, I don't know if Falcons are able to fly high above everyone else because they are drinking all this Red Bull or because they just possess the ability of flight. I mean, they are Falcons after all. Either way, you better go ahead and check out some of those Red Bull products and also make sure to check out the Buriram bundle in the store when it finally hits the store.
Yep. And overall, it has been quite the eventful day here, Crips. It's been quite the conclusion to week number 1. I hope that SEA has given you and subverted your expectations because, trust me, there's going to be a lot more exciting things coming up because we still have one more week before we decide which top 12 teams move into Phase 2 and get to call dibs on that finals qualification. But for now, we're going to call it a night. My name is Husky alongside Crips, and of course, shout out to the Mustachio AJ earlier on. We'll see you guys next week on Friday to Sunday, same time for week 2 of phase number 1. And until then, have a wonderful night. We bid you guys goodbye.
Now, burn bright, I don't burn out. Crush style sick of me now, huh? I can never go reverse now. But I'ma spin it back, A-jump. Went from nada to the crowd, throwing their hands, bass jump. I'ma hit the finish line no matter what. They front, first place, you a runner-up, dominant, but the red and the blues going ruthless. 10 out of 10, 11, I don't snooze. I pursue, don't push it, put me in game that I don't lose. I stay cool, depending on my pen and pennants I choose. Ayy, I'ma show you how it got it, nada, loudest. Wu-Tang, I'm a bird, love the competition. Told you only way is up, I don't go reverse. I can't entertain till you do the same. Cause I've been ready my whole life. Only see my back, I ain't turning back on them. Wings on me, I'm high. am I gon' verse now? Who am I gon' verse now? Show me what it's worth now. I pull up in the can't imagine all these people wanna follow, missing in action. Paper planes on my condos, made it from rapping, and I met role models. Thinking I'ma pass all the monogram on my body, the shit. Shout out to Virgil. Know that I'm gon' beat them like the shit that I put words to. Mama and the internet, two things that I just learned through. Hit it out of the park, so there's nothing to reverse to.